2, 1, and welcome back to Chasin the Racin, episode 42. And sat opposite, the lovely Dom the Bomb Herbertson.
And across from me, everyone's favourite maths teacher, even though he gets on me tits sometimes, Chrissy Rouse. How we doing, son? How are we doing?
Not too bad, mate.
What's
not too
on
bad.
Your lips? You look a bit
Vaseline.
glossy. Vaseline.
Aye.
Mate.
Little chap lips, mate. Chap lips.
What? How? Do I want to know why you're getting chapped lips on a
Dehydration.
day off work? You see, that's it. You know, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all play Thursday. Is that how you roll? Is it?
I'll tell you
You're
what.
always smiling, Chrissy. You know, do you take pride in your work? Do you take pride?
So I tell you what, we've got a sponsor. I'll just get it up on the old phone.
Get it up there. Get it up, Bobby.
Big thanks to Alan Towell from Purston Motor Company. They're a used car dealership based in Pontefract, West Yorkshire. Supplies of quality used vehicles, predominantly one owner with full service history. Zero deposit finance is available and part exchanges are welcome. Check out their website, www.purstonmotorcompany.co.uk. And I know Alan quite well myself. He's always at the BSB, sponsors a few of the lads, and top bloke. He does track days himself. He's quick, and can you remember at Brands that at the last round of the season when I crashed and then I had to get my bike back to the garage?
I wasn't there for that, but obviously I remember Piggy, the infamous Piggy, tells us that tale over and over again.
Well, Alan was one of the lads that helped push my bike back.
Because it was people in like.
It was just people out of the crowd just ran out and helped us push it back. Alan was one of them.
But people were saying, no, don't bother. And you're thinking, actually, with everyone's support, you got out there and you got the points on the board, didn't you? So, did you have to start from pit lane?
Pit lane, and the way I made the start was because somebody stalled on the line, so they had to do an extra warm up. It was like it was mega, but all worth it in the end. But anyway, so big thanks to Alan anyway for the sponsorship. We appreciate it, and if you're after a good second-hand car or van, check his website out, because I've been down myself. And
where are they based? Sorry, that would have been in the sponsorship.
Pontefract, West Yorkshire.
Yorkshire. So, sorry, I'm not being antisocial. I'm just trying to sort work out on my phone here. So if I'm looking distracted, obviously that's my face that my mother gave us. But anyway, right, let's get back on track. What's the crack?
For the podcast, we've got an interview coming up at the end of the podcast with Aidan Robinson, who I think
crack himself.
On the very single, either the first podcast we ever did or the second one, you were talking about getting Aidan on. It's so like from day one, you've always been mentioning. So eventually we had the time, we went down to his place near Doncaster.
It's in the centre of Doncaster, and it was it's like you say with Aidan, he's a big part of this sport. You know what I mean? And the more.
Like behind the scenes.
Oh, totally. He's an absolute brilliant. You know, he's just like built like a Viking, and he's just.
So he's a chiropractor that's helped you massively, and obviously we'll find out more about his story and like what he does in his interview. So looking forward to that. Before that, we've got BSB's been out testing, so the official Monte Blanco test, they're out there now as we record this podcast. So I think they're like two days in. Also, World Superbikes have tested and they're all ready to go this weekend at World Superbikes. So the race season is finally here. More road news. We've been busy out. We've got some crack like what we've been up to this week. And like you said, there's some road signings. So we've got plenty of crack. Where do you want to start?
I have no idea.
Tell you what,
I have no idea.
Since our last podcast, we've both been quite busy. We were both down. We ended up hosting chat shows, but separately, which was a bit weird because we're kind of used to bouncing off each other. You obviously,
well, Jamie Whitman kindly rang you up, didn't he?
Yes,
for your interviewing side of things. Yeah. So talk us through that. How did that come about?
Yeah, well, Whitman rang us up, and it was one of these MK sporting events.
You've been in one of them, haven't you? I've never been.
I've been to a few.
I work for a living, so unlike you.
I've been to a few down they do them at Durham. Do you know the, what's that spa called? Ramside Spa. Hotel and spa. They do these like chat shows.
Different lives, Chrissy. I don't know where any spas are in the northeast. We are different people here.
But basically, it's like a night with so and so, like John McGuinness, or the one I've been to one with Shaky, and I've been to one with Peter Hickman, McGuinness, and Whittam.
But the shows are pretty much throughout the whole winter, aren't they? They're always ongoing.
Yeah, banging them out all, and it's not just bike races. The company do like rugby players and all kinds. But no, it was
right. So sorry. What's the name of that?
I think it's MJK Sporting Events.
So that's not Whittam then.
No.
Oh, right. So, no, I just assumed because obviously it's a night with Whittam and like bike
he-
banters, isn't it? So
Yes, yeah, he hosts quite a few of the bike racing shows.
right, got you. I just assumed it was
Uh-huh.
Whittam's like business idea.
So,
Oh, right.
So yeah, it was the night that I did was down with Hutchie down at Blackpool. So it was quite similar to the podcast actually. It was kind of just going through his career, and then we did a bit of a Q&A and that, and it was in a workman's club. But it was quite a small room, but it was packed, so it was quite a good atmosphere. Everyone was having a few drinks, and we did the question and answers at the end. So we were getting like people like Mortal being like did Rossi knock Marquez off? And it was like, yes, he did. Next question.
You see, I've never actually met Hutchie. Obviously, well, everyone's heard of Hutchie and everything he's gone through, but he doesn't strike me as the most engaging person. I don't mean that anything against Hutchie. I just mean it'll be quite, he's not exactly me. I'm a jabbering psychopath. You know what I mean? You come to you and me, and we're just bouncing all over the place. And
it's quite reserved, isn't he?
Well, he is. But the good thing is, like, the one thing I've definitely noticed about Hutchie is a quiet Hutchie is a fast Hutchie.
Mm-hmm.
If you know what I mean. When he keeps really under the radar, he comes out with the goods.
Mm-hmm.
And especially at the moment, he's definitely been under the radar. But obviously, the news that we're going to touch on with the testing, he has been out a little bit more. But what was he like then? A bit, because I've never met him. What was he like on stage? What was it like?
Like, obviously, I've been a big fan of his. I've raced against him myself.
You've been a bit of a fangirl as well. I've seen the odd thing on Instagram, like, oh my god, Hutchie.
So yeah, I've watched his career, but when I got the phone call to do the thing, I did a bit of research and I looked through, and I didn't actually realize like exactly like what he's done and like the order of things and for instance, like in my head, I remember him having that massive crash and being out, and then in my head, I remember
2010, wasn't it? Yeah.
Then I remember. After that crash, I remember seeing him in a Swan Yamaha jacket all the time, but never actually seen him on track. And then I remember him sort of coming back in like 2013. But what I didn't realise is exactly a year after his crash, he was leading Macau, and he finished on the podium.
Oh, that was his first time crack back.
And I'm just thinking, like, after all he went through, how on earth, like all the lads that have been racing in BSB, fit as a fiddle, bike fit, up to pace. How do you not ride for all that time with your leg? You should have really had your leg amputated, and then go out and have the confidence to lead at one of the most dangerous racing circuits in the world. It is like unbelievable.
Honestly, what's your most physical track on the British circuit? Cadwell Park, right? Well, like that's fortunate enough because I've actually been to one of them tracks. I've been to Cadwell Park.
Is that a piece of cake compared?
Honestly, no. The thing is, if you take the mind side of it out, obviously. Macau's just another track. If you think about the barriers, you shouldn't be out there. But the physical demand inside of it, when you think of the temperature out there as well, and it just, one side's like a go-kart track, the other side's like the M6. So when you think Hutchie was out there with a bust leg, and he's come back and won it. Now, the year before, I think it was Stuart Easton's last year. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not sure if the lap record outlet is still held by Stuart Easton, but Stuart Easton won that race the year before by like 60 seconds, He absolutely, he really is the king of Macau. He absolutely pissed off. But like you say, the following year to come back, but when you think Gary Johnson was there, Jessup was there, and you think and all the names were there, and Hutchie just got on, out, essentially, like Captain Pugwash, limped in, hopped on a bike, and literally pissed off into the sunshine. It was.
And then another thing I didn't actually realise is he re-broke his leg doing that Thunderdome at the London XL. So after that, Macau, the beginning of 2012, is when he did his leg, and then that put him out for like another year or so and whatever. But yeah, the night itself went well, and I really enjoyed. Like I say, it was kind of like doing the podcast, but in front of a live audience of different feel. But yeah. Anyway,
hold on, whoa! Did he get him? Did he get him and ask to get him on Chasin the Racing then?
Oh, we'll definitely get him.
It's either a yes or a no. What's Hutchie's opinion? Has he listened to the podcast?
No, he doesn't. He doesn't listen to the podcast.
He's got Chasin. There you go.
But anyway, obviously you interviewed Michael Rutter the night before. Similar sort of sketch down at was it the Squire's Cafe?
Have you ever been to the Squire's Cafe? Now this is totally. There'll be lots of bike fans out there listening to this now, going, "How the hell have you not heard of this?" It is absolutely fantastic. It's like walking into the Isle of Man. And what I mean by that is you walk in any pub in the Isle of Man, there's photos of John McGuinness, Hutchie, Joey Dunlop, David Jeffries. You feel like, as a passionate people that we are about bike sport, you walk in anything, I don't want to leave. And it was absolutely fantastic, but the room was just absolutely ram-packed. And it was the only problem with the room was, without going into detail, was like the bottom, there was just like pillars in the way, and I felt sorry for people that were quite about aligned for Michael Rutter. Obviously, I understand why people don't want to look at me, but obviously just when you're there, you want to get the full atmosphere. But that was literally the only downfall of the night. But I think it went absolutely brilliant. But Rutter, he's a piece of piss. Rutter has got such, honestly, he's that dry. If you put the heating on, he would have set on fire. He's brilliant. And the thing is, once you get him going, and let's be honest, interviewing that side of things is it was easy. Because you just go, right, you just ask the questions. And the good thing is, like, I've only ever looked at my dad's racing. I've never looked around racing. Racing's been my passion my entire life, but only focused on one individual, and that was my dad. But I've never looked out into anyone else's career. And since doing this show, I'm starting to learn more and more. So I'm sitting there, like, just listening to Michael Rutter, just going, but what about this? And but you know what I'm like on this pod? It was the exact same. And it was very much more daunting, mind. I don't know about you. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a bit of an adrenaline rush because you're sitting in front of people going, funny hell, people falling asleep. But everyone was engaged, everyone was enjoying it, and I thought, this is brilliant.
It's funny when you think, like, when we're just sat here having a bit crack in the motor, nobody's
we look
here.
like a couple of doggers, man. Like, in the middle of Burnett Field, Durham, with the black... Can you see us on the podcast? Look at that. Nothing. Like bar Mildred doing the ironing hour there. Hello, dear. I think we should keep that open, to be fair. Because then the neighbours know that we're not driving into each other. You know what I mean?
Well,
you have to check YouTube to see Mildred over there.
I was going to say, like, when you're doing it in front of a live audience, there might be, say, 100, 200 people there. It feels like loads of people are listening. But every single day when these podcasts get, I mean, when we put the podcasts out, they get thousands in the first day. And if you think, like, if you could see all the thousands of people that are listening to me and you right now, it's like, it is mental, but you don't picture it when it's just me and you sat here. Do you know what I mean? It's totally there's a totally different dynamic. I must just say as well, when I was doing the because I never I didn't publish the fact that I was doing the interview, so it's not like people were listening to the podcast then decided to go. But when I got there was a few Chasin the Racing fans there, and there was a couple in the front row, lovely people. Russell, I told them I would do them a shout out, so I asked them to send us a little paragraph, and he said, okay, well, I'm Russell and my partner is Kelly. We live in
Russell. Hi,
Sherburn in Elmet, where the famous Squire's Bike Cafe is. We are fairly new to bike racing, 3 years, but are massive bike racing fans, both BSB meetings and road racing. We want to get a bit more involved and give something back to the sport, so having a bash at Marshall and some BSB weekends this season. And
fair play.
Lovely. Like I said, I got chatting to them, lovely people, and I was like, I'll have to stick you a shout out on the show. So,
drop us a message because I want to know if Chrissy was actually any good at interviewing on the live stage.
They look like they had a nice evening anyway.
Well, that's the main thing. That's the main thing.
And we need more people like that as well. Obviously,
fans who like the show. You mean? Yeah. That's always a good thing.
People getting into Marshall, and we've spoke about it before. I think there's a shortage, not just in the short circuits, road racing. So we need more people like them. So thanks very much.
Yes,
and
thank you very much.
hopefully inspire a few more people to do the same thing. But so we had the Rutter thing. That day, I also went down to my new sponsor, Massingbird Monday.
Yes.
And we had 2 days. They put us up in they've got a guest house, which is an old rectory, which the it's been in the family for years and years. And then John Thorne.
Where was this based in the country?
It's right next to Cadwell Park. It's about two farms down from Cadwell Park. And so the sponsor, basically, there's a big estate. It's a 3,000 acre estate. It's got 50.
Do you need any trees cut? If you're listening,
opposite the planting trees. The planting tree.
Get in.
I'll get onto it. But we had various talks about like the vision and like to do with the sponsorship, and understood about the products. We went on a tour of the estate. Basically, the guys wanting to make everyone working on the estate has got like a vision for essentially a sustainable rural area. in Lincolnshire where people can work, live. So they're sort of trying to create as many jobs as they can and build like a proper community. And so we had a tour of the estate. We went into the house. There's like a big manor house where they live, and they learned all about the history and stuff. It was quite interesting. Went out for a meal, and then while we were on the estate, we stopped off at the new gin distillery and we looked at how the gin's been produced. And
do they know your teetotal? Do they know your teetotal?
Oh yeah, I told them I don't drink.
God.
But they actually,
hold on, future British Superstock 1000 winner, the champion himself, rolling up there. He likes his meat, kids, but he doesn't touch the drink.
So they actually gave us a bottle of gin. So if people watching on the YouTube, you can...
it's labelless. It looks like the film Lawless here. It looks like bloody moonshine.
Oh, fresh out the distillery, that. It's not... And...
don't let me forget Armoy crack, on the outro. Do not... Honestly, don't let... It's just when we're talking about bottles of drink. Honestly, stick it on the list. Definitely stick it on the list. I've got to put that on. Because I'll get slapped silly by the Armoy Club if I don't mention it.
And we also went up... Basically, this place is the only place in the world where they've got the thoroughbred Lincoln red cattle. So it's like a specific. They don't crossbreed them with any other breeds of cattle. So it's pure like Lincoln red beef. That's what the product is. So we went to visit the cows. Basically, they're not. Do you know, like sort of factory farming where they cram them in and they basically. Stick them full of drugs and hormones and get them to grow up as quick. It's all money. They're basically trying to do like a sustainable, like much more sort of healthy
approach to it.
No fertilizer on the grass. It's like very sort of old school. And we went to see the cows are literally beautiful. They've got this big red thick fur. They're like absolutely gorgeous, and they taste gorgeous as well. And,
go on. Obviously for YouTube fan, this is Chrissy's meat on show.
Yeah, so I brought a sample of the product back to talk about. So this is how it comes when you get your online steak box.
Now I can honestly say I've never bought steak online.
Right. Well,
never.
Basically, you can. They're actually running a competition at the moment where you buy an online steak box from this cattle. You get 10 steaks, the like grass fed proper steaks, high quality steaks. It's $79.99 delivered to your door. Obviously, that's expensive. You could get a much cheaper steaks in like your supermarkets.
Yeah.
But this is like a premium product, and
looks hellish. Looks like it should be at NASA.
But the big deal that's on at the moment is every box that you buy, they're giving away 2 hospitality tickets for the first round at the BSB. So on the Saturday,
on the face tube.
So basically, if you're going to Silverstone BSB and you're there on the Saturday,
now I'm going to turn up for.
It's a no-brainer. You get 10 steaks delivered to your door for $79.99.
No gin,
and you get 2 hospitality tickets. So you go in, you get your breakfast, lunch, teas, coffees. If it's raining, you've got somewhere to sit, and it's not just any hospitality unit as well. The team's bought the KRT World Superbike Kawasaki thing. It's like on 2 stories, mega unit. So you get to go in. There'll be like talks with the riders, meet the riders. It'll be mint crack.
Is there a cap on this? Is there a cap on this?
No.
As far as if our listeners listen thinking, oh God, is it limited?
No, they haven't set a limit, and I think if they
get in there quick.
If they sell too many, I think they'll probably get a what's it called, like another. What's it called? Like an awning, like an extra awning.
Like you're going to put out the whole paddock here. That's brilliant. I'll tell you what, DC Racin, they were in touch with me saying, oh, should we get tickets? And obviously, as true Manchester Preston lads were like, see if Chris, you can get some cash handers behind the back. But obviously, it's an online system, and obviously I'm going to have to text them after this show and say, sorry lads, can't get you a ticket. But no, I'll have to order one myself, definitely.
Like I say, for £80, it's if you like steak, and especially if you're coming to the BSB, and even if for the like other riders in the paddock, obviously you get your 10 steaks, but then you've got 2 hospitality tickets you can then give to your sponsors to go and enjoy. So it's 100% worth it.
How much is a ticket to get through the gate at BSB?
Ticket, I think you can get them in advanced weekend tickets. I think are about £30, but I'm not 100%
per person.
Sure. Per person.
So there we go. You know what I mean? You're literally getting dinner and a date for £80.
Well, you don't get your entry tickets. You just get hospitality tickets.
Oh, all right. Oh, sorry, right.
So
yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
That's why I'm
if
getting
you're
over-
already
I'm
going,
thinking, Jesus.
if you've already going,
ticket. That's good
going to
to
BSB, then the hospitality tickets allow you to go in and get your breakfast, lunch, all that type of stuff.
But then that's not advertised very often. So what they're doing here is absolutely brilliant. So no, definitely worth having a look at. Young.
100%. And
Do you have to get
if
your
you
own?
go-
Do you have to buy your own ticket, or are you allowed in for now?
if you go on my Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, there's a link that it's like the South Hornsby Estate.co.uk /Chrissy Rouse, and if you buy through that link, that's basically getting tallied up. And there's a
competition
there's a cash incentive so like I'm trying to push as many people to
Make
get
sure
it
you
as
put that on the
can.
Twitter, the Facebook, the Instagram feed.
Just to be clear that there is an incentive for
the
me to
only
sell
way
as
you
many
can
as I
enter this is through you. That is the only way you can enter this. So definitely have a look at that. Definitely.
And so did that, and then the chat shows. I also got out on my new motocross bike,
And you're in one bit, which is a bloody miracle.
honestly, mate, it was the best training that I've done in like the best rider training that I've ever done. You can go to the gym, you can do as many press ups, sit ups, you can do rowing, you can do running, you can do this, you can do that. Nothing simulates riding a bike. And the last time I rode motocross was when I was about 11 years old.
Is that when you roofed it on the line? You kept
Yeah. So that was a little
over the top.
2-stroke 85 small wheel.
They're terrifying.
That was the last. And then I've just got on to a 450, like KX 450F. It was absolute beast, and so I ran it in nice and steady, and it was really choppy conditions, so it was like really physical, and I was only doing a few laps at a time coming in, and for the next few days after, it felt like I'd been run over. Every single bone.
Did you not get run over?
Every single muscle in my body was aching, and
That's where the storm's been going on, so it must be
was just
hellish on the bike mind.
it was before then, but yeah, it was it was like choppy. It was up by the reservoir. So I was at
Slaley Day.
I was near Slaley. It's called Schoolhouse Farm, and I must just say a quick thank you to Gemma and Craig Stat, who massively helped us out, because I only went up by myself with my van. They were there with the motorhome and making us nice cups of tea and looking after us.
Look at that!
They're young.
Even. Oh, yeah, you are factory, aren't you? You know what I mean? You can't even go to a dirty motocross track without having a motorhome and someone to look after you.
No,
you spoiled brat.
And they're young, and Hayden, he races in like the British Championships and stuff. I think he's only about 9 or 10 year old,
And he's racing a British Championship. And
mate, he's unreal, little kid. So I go out on this 450, and it's like I was landing. I was like going through these like the mud was
proper
as deep
rutted.
as it's pretty much as deep as my wheels, and I was literally like literally getting through. It was difficult
because you're going through ruts. You don't want to be rolling the throttle. You want to be driving through it, because if you roll it off, you'll just lose that inertia.
But I was thinking it was really tough conditions.
Aye.
And then this, he's like 9, 10 year old just absolutely flying loads faster than me, and you just think fair play to the kid, like he's proper on it. So I think he's set for like a really good year this year in the British motocross on a little
Fair
I think
play.
on a 65.
Because how much racing did you do as a young'un on the motocross?
Just a little bit,
but he's doing British.
bit of northeast racing and stuff.
See, no wonder, when people step up to this level, it's nothing like British. BSB is almost like a different. It's just the mentality. They've been hammered through it to begin with.
I will say, in terms of physicality, there's no question motocross is 10 times harder than road racing.
Without a doubt, you see them. I've seen them on the American side of things, man. And they're coming in, they're skipping, they're rowing before they go out. They've come in, they've done like 50,000 laps or whatever it is, and they're coming in doing cool down skips and stuff. They're athletically tuned to an inch of their lives, but they're whips. But when you think the sheer strength of them, when you think like Graham Irwin, he was suffering from so many injuries. He thought, I need to take. In his mind, he took a step back to come into British, like road racing thing. I need a bit of a rest. You're thinking, what the, you know what I mean? But he was British champion.
Well, I think he had a scaphoid injury, so it was too hard on the motocross. But you can get away with it road racing. But yeah, it's so much. It's so less physical road racing. I don't care what anyone says. It's it makes motocross makes road racing look like a walk in the park.
So
physically,
we ask a lot of the same questions. So like bar physical, how much is that relatable? After being on the bike, like
I think in terms of
because
I'm not planning on doing much motocross. I'm looking to get into sort of like off-road riding, so like enduro riding. So I'm wanting to get all the physical aspects of motocross, but without doing the big jumps, because I think the risk. There's no benefit from doing big jumps for road racing.
All right, so
but there's a risk of injury.
So take out all the jumps, racetrack. You see, enduro's a lot more of a discipline. You know, it's more time and a bit more balance. You know, you haven't rushed, but when you think, in my mind, if you did flat track racing with little berms and everything like that,
I think flat track would probably be ideal.
You
know, like what Rossi has.
But even on a smaller scale, like I'm talking about like proper grass flat track. They've got little berms, not big jumps.
That's the type of thing that I'm after, really.
I'm thinking, but like when you were on the bike, obviously take away the jump aspect of it. How much was that relatable? It is a bike craft at the end of the day, but you're howling into a corner. Do you think you're going? Where are you going testing?
I think purely for the physical fitness and the sort of the riding. So like you're using the same muscles to like brake and sport, like throw the bike around.
Speaking of throwing about and pointing at your shoulder, how did you
yeah?
go?
So obviously I haven't ridden anything since I had the shoulder operation.
Oh, you poor lad.
I managed absolutely fine. I've been absolutely smashing the physio. I go and see like a top physio every week.
Poor physio.
And yeah, so shoulder felt mega. It's compared to this time last year. This time last year, I actually dislocated my shoulder like in the gym. So I was going into the season with like a really weak shoulder. It popped out when I was testing. I didn't even crash. I don't even know if I mentioned this on the podcast, but before the season started in 2019, I had a tank slapper at Silverstone, and it popped my shoulder, and my shoulder was out for about 3 hours. And when I went,
is this okay? I'm just talking through the scenario. So pop, you thought, it's out, and you've actually crawled it back into the pits at this point, have you? Or
no. So basically, it was the last section of Silverstone. So you've got that left
race
and then right,
practice,
just testing,
right?
And I went coming through the left, and then I give it a big handful, squirting it into the right. Back end came round, and I saved it, but just the bars going left to right popped my shoulder. So I went on the grass, but I couldn't like control the bike because obviously my shoulder was out. So I just plopped the bike on the side, and cool as a cue, I wasn't in any pain or anything. I just went up to the medical staff and I said, my shoulder's come out, like I needed putting back in. And there was nobody actually at the circuit that was qualified to put my shoulder in, which I was quite surprised at. But so then I jumped in the car, went down to Northampton Hospital.
Shut up, man.
No.
Shut up, man.
Yeah, so I went.
Is this an official BSB test?
Yeah, first BSB test.
And there wasn't a person there to pop your arm back in?
Nobody was
Shut
there.
up, that's
And then, so I went to Northampton Hospital, and I told them I came out playing football, because if you say bike racing, then you get put in the back of the queue.
Oh, you do, don't you?
So I just said it, and I said football, and they literally just took us straight through, put us into the thing, and then...
Well, you look like one of them footballers, you know what I mean? You've got your head done up and everything like that. You look high maintenance. They would have stretched you straight in.
But basically, when they came round to put it back in, Steve Brogan was with us at the time, and he started filming it on his phone. And the guy, they couldn't get it back in, and there was three of them, and one guy was basically teaching another guy how to do it because he'd never done it before, and this guy was really struggling, and they tried to sedate us, but it didn't knock us out. But to put your shoulder back in, you've got to totally relax your muscles. But obviously, it's against your natural instincts. That's why they knock you out, to just totally relax you and then pop straight back in, no problem. Well, they didn't knock us out. So I'm like fighting against them. I'm trying to relax, but it's impossible just to relax.
On your arm.
Yeah. So I was in agony. I was screaming, and Steve's filming it. And then the guy seen out the corner of his eye and started going mental at him. So he sent him out. But it took them about half an hour of like ragging my arm, and eventually it popped back in. It was the worst experience I've had, and so yeah, basically what I'm saying is, going into 2019, I was in a really fragile position with my shoulder. I obviously kept that under covers because I didn't want to publicise the fact that I had a weakness.
Would you?
Exactly, but So I managed to get through 2019, and without any real issues. But I was having to get it really severely strapped and whatever. But for this year, feeling loads better. Are you just looking at the time there?
I'm just thinking. Obviously, the last episode we had it was a long one, and we announced it was a long one. But we need to try and bring these back in. But we've done a half an hour stint already. No, but I'm just thinking before we go, because obviously we don't want to put it on the outro. Let's quickly bang through, like bullet point the news. You know what I mean? So let's quickly jump. Have you got the World Superbike times there?
Yes, I have. So World Superbikes, they're over at Phillip Island, ready for the first round of the season.
Australia.
Obviously, Jonathan Ray's staying with the same team.
Surprise.
Alex Lowe's has joined him at Kawasaki. Top Rack is replaced Alex Lowe's at the Yamaha, and he's alongside Mark van der Mark. You've got Tom Sykes and Eugene Laverty on the BMW. Sean Muir.
And Scott Redden's stepped up again.
And the reigning British Superbike champion, Scott Redden, is with Chaz Davies at Aruba Jakai.
There we go. So here we go. This
Loris
is
Baz,
just testing.
Loris Baz is with 10 karts still on the... So there's the official Yamaha team, and then they're kind of like a privateer Yamaha.
Yeah, satellite.
Satellite, yeah, that's the best word.
I wonder why they picked the word satellite. But anyway, you never know, do you? You never know.
So I think Mick Shanley's running Loris Baz. But World Superbike time. So Johnny Ray.
This is just testing at the moment.
Yeah. So the test at Phillip Island.
And when's the race this week? Is it this weekend?
Yeah.
Right.
So
there we go.
We've got the times are a bit funny. I think the racing is either really late at night or really early in the morning.
Are they in the future? Or are we in the future?
I'm not sure.
I've
never been to Australia.
No, me.
Anyway, so Johnny Ray topped this timesheet, but he just pipped Loris Baz on the private Yamaha. Yeah, so he's ahead of the factory Yamaha lads. Third was Tom Sykes on the BMW. Fourth was Top Rack. Fifth, Leon. Sorry, we didn't even mention about the Hondas. Leon Haslam and Bautista are on the HRC Hondas,
the brand new Honda.
New Hondas. Obviously, Bautista
was on the Ducati, and Chasin Johnny Ray on the Jonathan Ray, in the great words of Janet Burnicle.
So Haslam's fifth on the new bike, which that for me is mega. Like he's doing a brilliant job to be on there, up there on the new Honda. Scott Redden was sixth, Van der Mark seventh, Rinaldi eighth, Eugene Laverty ninth, and Bautista rounding out the top 10.
All right.
Then we've got Chaz Davies 11th, Alex Lowe's 12th. Sandro Cortese,
Alex Lowe's on the other Kawasaki.
All
right, so that's
sure he'll be disappointed with that because
it's still Johnny a new bike and everything like that. Well, Johnny's always on the top. He could ride a bloody unicorn and bloody win on that thing, couldn't he?
So where did I get Cortese? Forez is back to World Superbikes this year. He's like in 14th. Schweb, I think you pronounce it, is 15th. I presume he's the new the Americans Gerloff. He's the next lad in 16th. Where are we? Caracazzulo 17th, Leon Kamiya 18th, and Takahashi is 19th, and that's the final position, I believe. Yeah, it is. So really looking forward to the race. And I think the big questions in the press and stuff: can Scott Redden back his BSB title up with a World Superbike title? Can Jonathan Ray make it 6 championships in a row?
I'm a big Jonathan. I like someone to take. Bautista made it exciting last year because of
what's happening with Bautista? Haslam has absolutely annihilated him through testing.
Still, it's testing. Testing's testing. At the end of the day, keep your powder dry.
Top Rack's looking mega on the Yamaha. Obviously, Loris Baz is doing a good job. Can the BMWs improve off last year?
Now they've got better engines.
They were fantastic in the corners last year, and quite often Tom Sykes had the pace to do one lap at a time. So you'd Super Pole or whatever, he would be up there. But in races,
he just got pip. Once he got someone in the corner, he couldn't actually hold the corner speed.
Annihilated down the straight. So I think they've got a few extra ponies. Also, in the press, I read that the Yamahas have had an 11 horsepower gain from last year to this year. If that is true, that'll be
make it tasty in racing, wouldn't it?
11 breaks a lot.
Huge in massive. This game. When you're chasing tenths of seconds, not seconds. 5%, it's huge, isn't it?
It's mega.
So let's jump onto the BSB crack quickly.
So BSB are out in Monte Blanco. There's been a few new signings or a few new announcements since we last spoke. We've got Storm Stacey going.
I was just about to bring that up. I think he's 16-year-old, isn't he?
He'll be the youngest ever person in BSB, I believe.
And he's taking it to the mind.
Special dispensation. Yeah, obviously early days in testing.
Oh, of course, but he'll be. You know,
for his first proper go, and he's had a few little tests on thousands, but not much experience.
He's a confident young man, and obviously confidence breeds confidence, doesn't it? So it's a very much like listen to the BRA podcast. Like bits of it, I've never listened to a full one in my damn life. Too busy cutting trees, youngin. But like the mad thing is, he's had he's very like that podcast was absolutely brilliant because you saw a very humble side of it, and I think it'll be exciting for us to get him on the show. And I think every time we do a podcast, the list of names just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But really, we'll have to get him on because his story's fantastic. We'll have to get him on our show and like put the questions. But like we're saying, very impressive start. But also the OMG lads.
I will just say,
oh my god,
it's a big step, obviously from stock 600. He came on really good towards the end of this year's Storm, but it's a big jump going from stock 600 onto a superbike.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And it's for me, I would have liked to have seen him step up to either super sport or super stock. And I feel
wait, you see the thing
I've seen in the past, like the likes of Harry Hartley was. He did a similar jump when he went from super stock 600 up to superbikes.
But Ryan Vickers did it, and look where he is.
Ryan
he didn't stock foul, did he? He went straight to superbike, and he's proven the side of it. And the RAF reserve team, that was a very solid bike, solid bike.
Even with Ryan Vickers, you know, that was a big jump for him.
Yeah.
And he was going up with a team that had been winning races that year. And even Ryan, I think he finished something like 16th in the championship. He ended up with bleeding on the brain. He properly smashed himself up a few times.
Yeah.
So for me, again, I would say in hindsight, I think it would have been a good idea to maybe go super and then go up.
But in the same bit, like,
but I know Storm's got a very mature head for a 16-year-old. He's got a very mature head on his shoulders.
He's been racing a long time. But like, let me just go back and like have a poke at you here for a second. Like, if someone offers you an opportunity, if you were bombing around on the Haribo bike and no one offered you nothing, someone said, "Right, Chrissy, there you are, son. There's a super bike." What would you do?
Oh well,
be honest.
Obviously, if you had no other options, then you know you'd take what you've got. And
that's exactly it.
It's mega in terms of
it's down to the cheddar, isn't it? At the end of the day, if someone goes, right, there you are, son, go for it. You think, me personally, it's like this podcast, man. You just came out the blue and said, "Hello, my name's Chrissy. Do you want to do a podcast?" And it's like I've got enough of me play, but you can't turn down opportunities. And
it's great exposure for him. And
oh yeah,
the main thing is that if he needs to walk before he can run, and if he takes, he's out with the best riders in the country on superbikes, and he just needs to take his time to learn his trade and get up to speed. And he's got Jeff Crust. His team manager used to be the team manager for the MotoGP Yamaha team just before Rossi signed. So he's got good guidance around him, and hopefully he'll just step by step. And those,
of course,
I know firsthand those superbikes, when they bite, and I just hope that he takes his time. And
I've never ridden a superbike.
Yes,
I've never ridden a superbike. I've ridden stock 1,000 machinery, but I've always wanted to ride a superbike, so I'm very jealous of Storm. So anyway, let's rack off these, like, what's quickly been going on. I'll tell you what we're going to end up being here for. People must listen to these podcasts just going, for God's sake.
So BSB testing, so after 2 days of testing, it stands Josh Brooks as top, Danny Buchan second, Hector Barbera on the OMG BMW
third.
Them
lads, I tell you what, they're no mugs. Really nice lads.
That's a great showing for Hector and the team.
Totally.
New bikes, so to be straight out there. And also Luke Mossey's fifth, so they're third and fifth overall. Mega result. They're sandwiching Jason O'Halloran on the Yamaha, fourth. Then we've got Ryan Vickers. Speaking of Ryan Vickers, he's sixth. Joe Francis seventh. That's a hell of a showing for Joe. Much higher than his usual rankings. Chrissy and Aidan eighth on the.
See, testing sometimes if you go in too high, people, you can almost overconfidence can kill. So people think, oh bloody hell, there you are, you're up there.
Jack Kennedy ninth after just jumping on the superbike.
Oh yeah, he swapped class, hasn't he?
Then we've got Tommy Bridewell 10th, Tyrone McKenzie 11th, Peter Hickman 12th, Dan Linfoot 13th, Lee Jackson 14th, Alex Olsen 15th, Storm Stacey 16th, and then we'll start with the Super Sport, and we've got Rory Skinner. Rory Skinner's riding for the Appleyard McAdams in Super Sport. I think he's a strong, really strong favourite for that championship. I think between him and you've got him, Brad Jones, his teammate. They're both going to be very strong. You've also got Westy and Ben Curry on the Kawasaki's, so I think that'll be interesting to watch. Where does it get up to? Storm Stacey, Rory Skinner, Dean Harrison in 18th, Josh Owens 19th, and then Billy McConnell's the first Superstock rider, Brad Jones, Graham Irwin, Sean Winfield's in stock, Matt Truelove, James Hillier, Ian Hutchinson, Dan Jones, Harry Truelove, and that's the lot. Ian Hutchinson's out on the Supersport. He hasn't actually got a big bike sorted for the roads this year, but
he'll get one.
Yeah, he'll get one. He's got a Yamaha R6 Raceways Yamaha, so him out there testing in Spain, you know he's going to be sharp come the northwest.
Without a doubt. But no, even on the road side of things, we've got Team Classic York Suzuki.
Yes, a lovely new livery.
Lush, absolutely lush. But obviously they've got Tom Whedon on, who's won a Manx Grand Prix Senior, and Joe Ackroyd.
New name for me.
New name, but I tell you what, keep an eye out on it. I tell you what, the lad is fearful. Like he pushes on. Like he really does push on. But he's a genuine lovely lad. But you tend to find that in roads, not like you lot. No, but that's dead exciting. Really is, and but they've got superbikes, stocks as well. Which is good. RC Express, they've got their new rider, Rob Hodgson. Now, Rob, I really get along with. He is genuine salt of the earth.
I seen they did a photo shoot.
Did you pick up on that? I could not believe that. Right now, Ben from RC Express rang me up and going, I'm like, what do you mean? Just tell me what the crack is. You're going, we've had to use your levers. I'm going, yeah, what? So I'm flicking, and they've used me boots, right? So, right, basically, RST, amazing sponsors, the pair of us. They've made me a set of levers, brilliant. I've got them hung up, and I thought, oh, brilliant. Then I flick on the old face tube. There's Rob Hodgson wearing me levers. Now, I know his sense of humour. I bet he didn't even wear boxers, that slimy git, right? So the last pair of balls to grace them levers weren't even mine. So they're hanging up in my unit, like next to the trophy cabinet, and I'm looking at them going, oh, I feel dirty now, like just looking at them. I couldn't believe it. The cheap kits. But obviously, it's like good to see RC Express there getting set up for the full roads campaign now. Okay. Rob hasn't had, well, I don't mean to get upset his previous sponsors, but he hasn't had a competitive twin before, and that twin, Rob, honestly, I put money on it seeing him on the podium.
Mm-hmm. You rode their twin, didn't you? So you know how strong it is.
It's a bleeding rocket ship, but obviously everyone's going to keep an eye out for the Counting Racing twin because, we're running a 1000cc engine, but don't tell anyone. But no, honestly,
how's
all
that
the best.
build coming, by the way?
Honestly, they're just absolutely flat out.
It's a proper race for people that don't realise the Super Twins.
It's a super,
not
honestly,
racing bikes.
It's a super bike, but the thing is, it's not like you're building off a genuine track. You're building off a shopping trolley. Mm-hmm. And you've got to convert it, like Simon Bleasdale's building that engine, and like even the airbox conversion, heat direction, full like data logging. You've got to transfer everything through. It is phenomenal. And if you get a moment, come see me in the paddock, and I'll quite happily drag you over to the Counting team and show you what they have built. And it's coming together nicely, but time's ticking on because we're at the Croft meeting on the 4th and 5th of April. So I'm there just with the Counting team and looking forward to spinning some laps. But obviously, I think before we...
I was just going to say, there was another North Yorkshire last week where we went down and all the sponsored riders got announced. So big thanks to the club for
North Yorkshire. Gavin
Emmett.
I tell you what though, you were jabbering at me. I was trying to listen to Gavin. He's like, oh, Dom, got a couple more followers. I'm like, Chrissy, mate, I'm stuck with you once a week in a bloody caravan. I want to listen to Gavin, who's actually got a very soothing voice. Let's just shut up. And that's coming from me. But no, like obviously, you can multitask, can't you, Chrissy? So obviously you're working on the show and obviously listening to Gavin and the information. He wears his heart on his sleeve, doesn't he? It was absolutely brilliant. He was talking about basically he thinks Lorenzo's going to come back, and bearing in mind this man actually deals with these rock stars day in, day out. So what he was saying, you're taking it on gospel, and it was like, this is really exciting stuff. And it was great to have an international man of mystery, Austin Powers himself, Gavin Everett, coming up and having the crack, which was great.
And also there was Martin Rayner, the statistician. So his full-time job is basically to research all the stats to do with MotoGP. And
encyclopedia. That man.
Unbelievable. One of the main points that I took away from that was the fact that we're talking about Marquez's crashing rate compared to other riders, and they were basically saying in his opinion, it's physically impossible for him not to get injured before he's Rossi's age, because the rate that he's crashing at, like, just sod's law. You've got, like, at some point
it's it's always how you land.
At some point, it's got to catch up with him. And they were talking about in the 20 years Rossi's been in MotoGP, like, how many crashes has he had? And it was, I think it was something like 179 or something like that, like, recorded crashes.
When you think about the amount of GPs and racing he's done.
And then they were talking about the same, what was it, maybe like 119 or something like that. And then Marquez, in his much shorter period, has had way more crashes. And you just think it is going to catch up.
He's winning races at the minute. He's talking about injury. He's getting paid. That Gavin was telling me, 25 million quid a year.
I think, is it
a year?
It was a 4-year deal.
You were busy jabbering me lug. I couldn't pick things out.
4-year deal, and I think it works out with exchange rate and everything. I'm pretty sure it works out at about 100 million for the 4 years. So it's
I would jump off a cliff and see what would happen on the landing for 100 million quid, mate. There we go. But hey, I tell you what, let's we got. What?
I was going to say the last thing before we get on the interview.
Yes, which I'm really looking forward to. No. It's a bit like we've got some Patreon questions after this, but I'm really looking forward to getting Aidan on the show here. Obviously, we did a YouTube that he was actually part of the Grand Tour, so Aidan will be patiently going, when the hell's this interview going to happen? So let's get him.
We'll do the interview now and then Patreon questions after.
No, we'll do the Patreon questions after. So please keep in tune, and looking forward to recapping on this. So introduce him away there, son.
So over to Dom's chiropractor, Aidan Robinson. So we're very pleased to be joined by Aidan Robinson from ITRM down in...
Well recovered there. Good thing it's written there, Chrissy. Very well done.
Down in... in Doncaster now?
We are indeed the centre of the known universe, Doncaster.
And although...
Hold on. You're a doctor and you can't lie. Is that actual based upon fact? Is this the set?
Of course it isn't.
All right, where is it?
We'll look it up later.
So,
hang on, he's the mathematician. He should know more, shouldn't he?
Not on me geography.
I said known universe.
Oh, we're getting deep.
So now we're going straight on to astrophysics, aren't we?
I love it.
Anyway, go on, carry on.
So I know we've briefly met before down at the North Yorkshire Road Racing Supporters Club, but it's nice to sit down and have a proper good big crack. So I've heard of a chiropractor before.
Yes.
I've heard the name before.
Yep.
And Dom's described you to me as basically if we were vehicles, you're like a mechanic, but working on bodies basically.
Yep.
Chrissy, I'm telling you, right? If Jesus had a bad back, this is the man you'd come see. I'm telling you. But the thing about Aidan, obviously, you're going to introduce yourself. He hasn't even barely put a word in at the moment, but lovely. He's not just a chiropractor, he's a doctor, and his sole gift on this earth is to fix people and scare them into submission. He's a big lad. You'll see it on the YouTube, which we're filming in the corner there. And So
what is exactly that you do?
Okay.
Yeah.
So
who are you?
Okay. Well, which one is it?
Who are you?
Well, seriously, look, you've spilt on the wife's going to kill you. Dominic, you've made a mess on the floor already.
I'm just excited to see it.
We'll start with
your cup runneth over.
Yeah.
So what is a chiropractor and what do you do here?
So, we are... Oh, God. Man. Why do we always have to start with the really deep philosophical questions? Why can't we just...
Because you go deep.
Well, there is that, isn't there? And as we know. Anyway, so as a general rule, you've got kind of like osteopaths, physiotherapists, chiropractors. And historically, there was a difference in that a chiropractor would see you because you would, say, have an issue with your nervous system. And an osteopath might believe it's more to do with the vascular system. But the origins are a little bit deeper than that. So physiotherapy as a paradigm, bone setters and things like that existed for hundreds of thousands of years. And basically, the Napoleonic War was a real reason why there was a turning point in what happened to young men who were getting injuries. So, you've heard of sepsis?
Yeah.
Okay. So, really from that point onward, we began to understand that if you have an injury, and that injury requires you to have an amputation or have some time of convalescence, then you would need somebody to rehabilitate you in a physical way. That's what a physiotherapist does. So physiotherapists are very good post-surgical, post-stroke, whatever it may be. Whereas a chiropractor, what I'm trying to do is improve the system that you've already got, which is why, as you said, I'm closer to a mechanic.
Right.
So if the car is... Obviously, if a car has a major catastrophic accident, then you're going to need some serious rejigging. You know, it might be a write-off, whatever. But if you've just got...
You've described that as me as a fair few times, to be fair.
Well,
mainly my parents as well. You know, I've always been a write-off in their eyes.
Do you ever get any work done, Chris? At all? Shh, the parents are talking now. So...
Who's the dad? Oh, hey.
Well, there you go.
Anyway,
well, see, that's me and Dom, and that's me on top.
Oh, yes, he always backs up. Anyway,
so what we've got a situation is that if somebody comes to me, I actually say to people that I'm not actually a chiropractor. I'm not just treating backs, this, that, and the other. I try and treat people, which I know is a bit, but how I would work with you or him versus, let's say, an 80-year-old lady who's maybe got some osteoporosis, you're not dealing with the same thing at all. Yeah, so sure. I know it's a bit twee to say it, but it is about treating the individual rather than how we do it. Personally, what I do, though, is I'm trying to actually affect the nervous system.
Right, okay.
In the sense that you have both information going from the central part of your nervous system. Mm-hmm. So if I say to both of you, right, don't think about pink elephants, then you're immediately going to go, oh, God, pink elephants. So that's part of your conscious nervous system. Mm-hmm. So that's where you're taking control from the inside out. Okay. But there's also information going from the outside in. And what can happen is you can get confusion between whether a signal is coming from the inside out or outside in. So what I try and do is find out where that irritation comes and remove it in whatever way that might be.
Okay, and obviously we're here talking to you with the the link with Dom and it's not just Dom. It's very you come into your clinic here and it's very sort of motorbike racing orientated.
Yes. Yeah.
What's the link with the racing? How did you start being involved?
Okay. Well, so I've always been involved with disability sport. I worked at the London 2012 Olympics. I had the pleasure of being the first ever chiropractor as part of the multidisciplinary team in the polyclinic on site, which was a great honour. I've done work with World Athletics Championships, this, that and the other, but I always enjoy working with someone who's prepared to overcome an adversity. I don't mind who you are or what you do, but I would imagine you as a teacher will know that if you have a student who's struggling but who is willing to give and is willing to put the effort in, then you're going to spend proportionally more time and actually try and help them to a greater degree than someone that says, fix me. Mm-hmm. So I've always enjoyed looking at people who've overcome adversity, whether that's a physical injury, a mental injury, whether that's surgical, whatever, traumatic. It just interests me more. Yeah. I mean, for example, with Dom and when he lost the tip of his finger, we had, I think, 4 weeks.
It was less. It was actually only 2 weeks.
Was it 2 weeks? Right.
Then we're on the flight to Macau.
Yeah. So and to go from someone who says, look, I don't know if I'll be able to do what I really enjoy doing, and my career is potentially balancing on what you can do, I get a real kick out of that. Mm-hmm. I'm like, come on, And again, if I couldn't have helped him, if I'd have said, Dom, listen, mate, lovely guy, but you ain't going to Macau, then I would have not hesitated to tell him that.
Which at that particular point was absolutely terrifying for me, because you're off the cuff, and that's how you should be with anyone. And I think people lack that quality massively now, and it was terrifying walking in here, because you're a big lad anyway, but going up there going, look, this has happened, done this, done that, and it was just immediately right, let's look at it. And even at I'm like, oh my God, this could turn left or right, because that made a right mess of the job.
It was, you sent me a rather interesting video. And your finger.
Oh, yes.
So stuff like that is far more interesting than someone that just, as I've said in the thing with the UK Club Sport, when I got interviewed with them, why did I enjoy working with Craig? Because he had a big injury. And I don't want people to, I'm not some kind of psychopath that enjoys people being hurt. Yeah. Maybe a little bit, Dom, yeah, you're right. But if someone has a problem and they are willing to listen to my opinion and they really want it to get better, yeah, bring it on.
So is that the case that you went through, you did your studies, you started doing this as a job, and then you came across motorbike racing and certain motorbike races, and then that sort of developed into a thing, or was there always a love and passion for the racing?
Both. I've done work in the NHS before. My father was a senior consultant anaesthetist, so I've worked in hospital theatres and this, that and the other when I was a lot younger, and I've seen what motorbike injuries can be done on the road. I don't mean road racing, I'm talking about like recreational road riding. And classic thing, I was told, well, you can't have a motorbike until you leave the house. So
it just planted the seed.
So I was like, ooh. So, men in tight leather is my thing.
Oh, naturally. By the way, if you're listening, Sally, his lovely wife, I think we're scratching at the surface some deeper, darker ambitions here. No, but so, like Chrissy says, obviously it's been a family medical training and everything. Yep. So how did ITRM, how did that come about? What does it even stand for?
Okay, no problem. So, sorry, if we can go back a little bit to answer the first question. So how did I get into it? So I was working with a guy called Ben Parkinson, who's a double amputee. And I was at the local gym in Doncaster, and someone approached me and said, look, I've got a friend who's had a motorbike accident at the TT, and that was Robbie Sylvester. Mm-hmm. And they said, look, if you can help this guy, do you think you can help my friend Robbie? So then I got introduced to Robbie, started working with Robbie, got him to the point where now, of course, he's walking and doing all that stuff, and then he referred me to other people.
If you can describe like the actual, put it blunt, we all know Robbie's story, especially in the motorcycle world, and we'll have to get him on as a guest. But can you briefly describe his physical condition at that time to where you've got him now? It's phenomenal.
Yeah, thank you. We can cope with a certain level of inflammation. Okay, so I always will say to people, if you imagine you go out and it's a sunny day, you've not got a hangover. You can look out, sun's not too bright, noise isn't too loud, you feel pretty good. You go out on the same day but you've got a hangover, everything's going to start to feel worse. You're going to feel more irritated by everything. The sun seems brighter, noises seem louder, etc., etc., etc. And when you get an injury, you're increasing your irritation. You're increasing your nervous system's sort of twitchiness. Everything starts to switch on. So when I saw Robbie, because he'd had such multiple injuries, with respect, they'd not been perhaps treated in the best way they could have been. He was just basically one walking ball of inflammation. So what we then had to do is say, right, much like peeling away an onion, what's the primary problem? Primary problem, right, secondary, tertiary, and work all the way through, and then just give him time to reduce that inflammation within his body, so that now he's able to, like I say, walk, and you've seen him obviously at the TT and things like that, Dom. So,
Robbie was involved in a crash. Was it the Isle of Man TT? Was it the TT?
It was at the TT. 2006, I think.
So 2006, he was involved in a very big crash, and it was a case of he was bedbound for how long?
Not entirely. I think he was in the hospital for quite a long time, and I know when I met him, he'd been in a wheelchair for nearly 3 or 4 years.
3-4 years in a wheelchair, So like you say, in inflammation, the sheer pain this man was in.
Yeah.
And at that point, doctors were saying, "Look, was it fair to say they were telling the Robbie,
this is your life, basically, and you're just gonna
you're in a wheelchair.
You're in a wheelchair, and
and that's
basically it.
And you can imagine it's like someone's hit a switch on you.
Yeah.
And when you get professionals telling you, look, that's the end of it.
Yeah.
Robbie is such a strong character. Like I say, we'll have to get him on the show.
Absolutely.
And I think that mindset, especially a racer's mindset, it would have been still a hard hit. It's like, well, Chris, imagine Aidan going, look, son, you're not even going to pick up a calculator, never mind a throttle. it would get to you. And so he's
I
gone
think
from...
I mean, with respect, he was in a very dark place when I first met him, but I think also...
That was your shadow.
Crikey.
Standing out blocking the sun.
He's a very big man, is Robbie. In his own right. But when he came to me, everyone had said negative things.
All right.
Well, you're not going to walk again. You're in a wheelchair. And I was like, right, do you want to walk again? Yeah, fine. And with respect, same thing as your finger. I said to you, what do you want to do? Do you want to race? Right, then you will listen to what I say, do what I say when I tell you to do it, and I guarantee you'll be on that start grid. Boff, and then you were. So that comes back to, you asked what does ITRM stand for. So I for injury, T for treatment, R for recovery, M for maintenance. And as we're sat here, you can see you've got the ITRM there. And I'm going to ask you two fine gentlemen, because you're both highly educated. Well, you can both... No, I won't give it the game away. What does it look like? If you look at those colours... radio silence, so I'll keep my
DNA.
Traffic lights with a blue underneath.
Oh! Do you know you are probably the first person that's ever got that completely correct?
Really?
Oh,
So-
I hate teachers. I hate teachers.
So the I is for injury. When you see a red traffic light, you stop. So an injury will stop you.
Mm-hmm.
T, amber. So
your foot
proceed
down.
with...
It's about to change. Anyone from the highway code agency,
yeah.
don't be listening.
Yes, exactly. I'm assuming, Chrissy, you drove him here today, didn't you?
No.
Other
No?
way.
Oh, God. No wonder you're late.
His back shagged. So
Oh, is
all
it?
the
Oh,
speed
right.
bumps, so we need to
right.
get a bit of treatment from you.
Yeah, we can do that. So amber, or orange, proceed with caution. So when you're having treatment, you have to proceed with caution. Green, go. Obviously recovery. But the thing is the maintenance. So I wanted people to understand that. And again, particularly this works with motorbike riders, particularly racers, is they understand that you don't just win a race or just go out, do a race, and then go, right, mint, bike, sorted, everyone off. You'll strip it down, you'll check the brakes, suspension, tyres, etc., etc. What have we learned? What can we do better? What can we improve? So I wanted people to understand that, of course, if they want to just come when they're in pain, not a problem. But that's not really the point, is it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're doing the same thing, it would be like, well, why did you get your hair cut? Oh, well, I wanted to grow long, right? Well, why don't we just have a look at your whole nervous system and check everything's doing okay before it breaks down? And that's the ITRM.
And on that topic, would you say there's a particular thing? So, like, say if somebody comes to you for the first time, and just in terms of maintenance, not coming for an issue,
Yes.
is there something that is particularly common that people aren't, say, taking care of, or could be doing a lot? Is there anything that stands out that
Yep.
bike racers could be doing a lot better?
Bike racers or just people in general?
Bike racers, yeah.
They don't move their...
podcast.
That's all right, I know. But as you said, people, I'm just trying to answer the question. Hips.
Hip flexibility, or
Yeah.
Okay.
We in when I started, we still had people like, I still would have patients who were milkmen. I had patients who were window cleaners, and then by window cleaners, I mean would go up a ladder and come down a ladder and actually use the chamois. And they, now it's all the reach and wash system.
Yeah.
So we now have a society where I'm just watching more and more people do less and less movement. So if you think both of you are sat here with me, you sat in the car, you sat at your last interview, you probably sat at the interview before then. So what's that doing to your hips? All your hips are doing is just becoming, the muscles that are bending the hips is like walking around with your arms bent at 90 degrees. It looks impressive, but after a while you're going to think, well, it's not really functionally any good. So one of the things I would say to any biker is just move more in your day-to-day life.
Mm-hmm.
Now, interestingly, obviously he doesn't have that problem because he's moving all the time. Yeah. But if you said what's the most common thing, there are more people sat on their backsides in offices or this, that and the other. And then they're going to get hip tightness, and then they're going to wonder why they can't move on the bike because they're just locked in one position, i.e. at 90 degrees.
Have you seen those, I think there's like a chair and a desk that are designed that
yes,
you can sit down
sit to stand. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. I mean, again, I would argue that sitting, and not just me, but sitting is just probably one of the worst things we can do. That and looking on a mobile phone.
What in terms of, is that the blue screen?
There's that, but if you're a motorbike rider, if you if we sort of conceptualize, you'll know riding a bike, you will never look at the corner, you're going to look through the corner. All right? So you imagine that you are excuse me, I'm going to borrow in fact, I've got my phone here, wherever it may be. Oh, it's my branded Dominic Herbertson hat there.
Damn right, good hat.
Right, well, I've lost my phone, but I've lost my phone, but I'll use this. But what I'm saying is, if I train my eyes to be looking at a screen that's only 4 inches away from me, okay, and then I want to ride a motorbike at 120, 130, 140 miles an hour, I'm actually training my nervous system to only react within that 4-inch distance. So if you're then doing this and then going, right, I need to look that far away, you are actually, you are going to create changes in your nervous system in how your occipital suboccipital muscles work, the neck muscles. You're getting used to them being held at that distance. You're not actually training them to work at different distances. It's a bit like, if someone goes to the gym and just does bicep curls like that, yeah, they're going to get very strong in a bicep curl like that, but you need to be using the arm through its full range of movement to get that stimulation. So for me, I think the biggest problem we have in the West is sitting in phones.
And in terms of the sort of maintenance side of things,
yes.
Do you also dip your toe into sort of advising training, diet,
yep, all that sort of stuff.
Psychology?
Yep.
What sort of areas do you go into?
So I've got a number of qualifications that I've taken for myself afterwards, just because I wanted to be able to give correct advice. I don't want to just sort of say, oh, well, I think you need to do 10 of these or this, that and the other. Whilst, of course, I'm good with rehab, whether that's, again, neurological rehab, post-surgical or whatever, or just generalised rehab, we can do that. But I do have a number of good people, so if I need to have some specific referrals, then I have got specific people I can refer for rehab. In the fast zone, Lee Spelzini in the fast zone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he does some psychology. I've referred some people to him. Nutrition, I've got a couple of nutritionists I've worked with. Again, it depends on what the individual wants. I can give people, I'd like to think, quite good generic nutrition advice, but if they want something more specific, then I've got people I can refer to. What I'm doing, sorry, Chrissy, is I'm trying to get the racer to understand they should be the centre of the hub, and everyone should then radiate round them. So it's not about just being me or just being their physiotherapist or just being their GP. It's about saying, right, we need you to have a look at a GP, orthopaedic surgeon, strength and conditioning coach, nutritionist, psychologist, and if we get them all working together with that person in the middle, jobs are good.
Smashing. And just talking about your qualifications and stuff, what's your qualifications in, like, as a list, just to give our viewers a...
So I'm just looking at the wall, actually. There's quite a fair few.
To be fair to you, most of those, Dom, if you actually eat enough cornflakes, you get them with cornflakes packets.
Fantastic.
So I wouldn't worry too much about them.
Fair enough.
So my title is, I'm actually a doctor of chiropractic. So I have to point out, it's not a medical doctor, it's a doctor of chiropractic. And a lot of the other stuff I've just done, like coaching assistants. There's,
So does that mean is that a doctorate in that subject? Is that how it works?
So I've got my title is a doctor of chiropractic. So I've done a 5-year medical degree.
All right. Okay. And then what would be the next step to that?
I am the next step to that, Chrissy. No, then after that, it's just... That's where
in terms of a PhD, is that...
No, that's so it's not like a PhD. It is, you are actually a doctor of chiropractic, so you are able to be a primary contact practitioner. It's just you have to take care that people don't think it's like being a medical doctor.
Got you.
That's all it is. But yes, it's so I can diagnose, I can refer, I can read, I can ask for ultrasound, read ultrasound, X-rays, MRI, CAT scan, blood tests, etc., etc. But that's all within that thing.
And just a bit more technically, like,
yes, sir.
We've both had our fair list of injuries in different respects. Not so long ago.
It's not a scar off, by the way,
You what, sorry?
It's not a scar off, it's see who's got the best scar. Drop your pants and see who's got the best scar.
I haven't got many good ones, to be fair.
No, I know, and I've seen all his anyway.
Fair few of them.
So, I was just interested to ask you about the I had a treatment for a fair while ago. I
Yep.
broke a few bones, a few fractures, and
Yep.
I had some laser treatment,
Yep.
and I also had something. So it was like a electromagnetic
Yep.
treatment.
Yep.
Yeah, and
Yep.
and I had something to do with lasers in my. So the injury was in my hand and my wrist.
Yep.
But I had my legs lasered,
Yep.
and it was something to do with you have stem cells in the bone
Yep.
marrow.
Yep.
And by lasering them, it promotes stem cell production, which therefore
That's-
speeds up recovery.
Yes.
Is that the sort
Yeah,
of thing
so-
you do here?
Yeah, we do some of that here as well. I mean, obviously, Dom knows we'll be looking to move the clinic ultimately. Not now. Everyone thinks, oh God, you're moving this year. No, it's 2021. We're basically going to move and create a purpose-built clinic, basically at my house, which will have treatment rooms. But I want to try and I want someone, for example, like yourself or Dom, who doesn't live 10 minutes away, to be able to come and stay with me. If you need to have a couple of days, we'll have some living accommodation, and we can do things like cold therapy. So we're going to get a plunge pool, rehab suites, and we're going to get some laser rehabilitation stuff. And what the laser does, to be honest with you, Chris, is it just helps to reduce the inflammation. And that's the issue. What most people are suffering from most of the time is inflammation, chronic inflammation. So they have an injury, like Dom's finger, but if you're having that and you're having some stress at work, that's going to cause inflammation. If you're having a poor diet, that's going to cause inflammation. You know, and all these things come together. So what I'm trying to do is help people to bring down all their inflammation.
Is there any particular foods that create sort of gut inflammation that you would say definitely keep away from?
Oof.
Hold on. Is that not in this Mum's UK Club Sport?
I don't know, is it?
No. Wait, obviously, we'll discuss that with what you're doing with Zoe and everything. But no. We've just turned up. We've seen your magazine. There we
Many
are. So,
magazines.
gut-brain connection.
Yeah.
Do you want to give us a brief overview on that? Because obviously,
What
go
is
buy
this?
the magazine.
Is this my?
Go buy
I
the
wrote
magazine.
it.
I know.
This is a test. Of what did you say on page 34?
No, we.
It's okay.
34? What do you mean 34? Well,
I'm
anyway,
joking
yeah,
anyway.
here we go,
Right.
here we
Okay.
go for it.
So, it is actually something I've covered in the last couple of issues of UK Club Sport. So
And
thank
you're
you, gentlemen. And I'm actually a published author in that as well. I believe you are, Mr. Herbertson.
This isn't about me. This is not about me. This is about you. Come on. Like Chrissy's saying, the diet side of things. Let's talk about
I
that.
think it's what you need to understand is that there are so many people out there, and I think that for me the major problem is everyone applies one rule to everybody. Okay, so are there things to eat? Are there things not to eat? Do you know what? Honestly, in my opinion, have a variety of your diet. Sometimes my wife and I will not eat meat, so we'll be not exclusively plant-based, but we will not eat like fish, meat, dairy. But we might only do that for a couple of days, and then another time we'll have some fish, and then other times we'll have meat. And I think for me, we live in a society where there's so many people saying, don't do this, it's bad for you. Don't do that, it's bad for you. You know, Christ on a bike, we know smoking's bad for you, and people are still smoking. So clearly, telling people what to do and what not to do doesn't work.
Yeah.
To answer your question, honestly, Chrissy, I would say just try and have variety.
Yeah.
Variety is the spice of life.
I think there's something happening in America which is becoming much more popular, where you get your blood work done, and
Yep.
it's
Yes.
from getting your blood work done, you can then see specifically foods to stay away from,
Yeah.
and foods that like your gut is really good at
Yeah.
producing. Do you know much about that? And can you get that done in the UK?
And can you get that done here? It could be handy, that.
Okay, so do I know much about it? Having, again, my opinion, you know, I always say that is just my opinion, is I think that for a small proportion of people is relevant. But actually for the majority of people, you don't need to have blood work taken to know what foods to avoid. You know, I mean, I'm sure if you go out and have a curry, and then the next morning, you'll know that you had something that was irritating you, because you're going to have the evidence.
You're gonna have a bum like a Japanese flag, aren't you? So there you are.
You are. But what I'm saying is, so that's. But does that mean that you shouldn't eat curries? Well, I would argue no. If you're enjoying them and you're having a good time with your mates and you're chilled out, and I would say have a curry every so often. But the word is, or the phrase is, every so often, not all the time. And the problem is people who will have a curry 2 or 3 times a week, and then they wonder why they've got some kind of antacid problem, or they've got Helicobacter pylori because their stomach's now so full of acid. Well, have a look at what you're eating. And I would actually say that for a lot of people, in my opinion, they don't need those tests. Some obviously will do, but those are such a small minority that they'll probably have been picked up in childhood anyway, in my opinion. Am I being too serious, Dominic? I mean, it's just he's actually asking me really important questions. I thought you said to me this was going to be a bit more of a joke about, and I'm actually feeling quite like I'm being interviewed.
No, it's good. It's good. Normally you're causing a lot of pain to me. So
you wait half an hour.
Oh God, I know. It's like getting a tattoo. To be fair, you're like, ow! Oh, but it's so good.
It's so good.
It's obviously the benefits are absolutely humongous. But now, obviously, you don't just help me. Can we quickly go through the list of riders that you work with?
I'm sure if they don't like it, they can
go for it. No, you tell me.
Oh, you want me to tell you?
I want you to tell me and the listeners here.
Okay, so obviously, first person was Robbie.
Yeah.
And then Robbie, of course, as you know, our very good friend, the late, great Mr. James Cowton.
Yeah.
And I've said it before, said it again, that man built my reputation. I was actually looking back through some photos, and it was actually, I think, 2016 that I started treating you at Oliver's Mount because James told me to sort out your shoulder. I'll send you the photos.
It was
your wrist?
It was my wrist before actually. Now the operation was due to a blackthorn, but remember it was
it.
The wrist was from a broken collarbone.
Yeah,
and you're thinking, and I'm looking at this Viking-looking fella going, mate, who you idiot? Look, it's not my collarbone; it's in my wrist. Even I'm switched on enough to know where the pain is. Yeah. But then you immediately fix the situation, and it was like literally a 5-minute fix.
Yeah,
it was phenomenal. It was absolutely
pleasure.
phenomenal, and it was a case of from that point. Yep. Thanks to James Cowton, your presence became so known because it's like anything. Is there a quick fix? You can actually deliver that.
Yes.
To a certain extent,
Yeah.
but like we were discussing before, if people are willing to meet you halfway, you can go a
even
lot further with them.
Absolutely.
And you can deliver a quick fix, and there's not many people like that.
No, thank you. So, I mean, I've had other people again from James, people like Gaz Johnson, Ben Wilson, Craig Neve, yourself. I've worked with.
How is Craig getting on? Because he had a huge. I mean, I think he lost the front at the Northwest at
Black Hill.
Is it?
It was just after.
Anyway, the poor lad met a curb with his kneecap
He did.
at like 100 plus the VAT.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he had to miss the rest of the season till.
Is it the Classic?
Now, he first returned back at the Classic at a major event, but I think he was doing Thunder Sports. Now, bearing in mind, his kneecap was just.
It
was obliterated.
Yeah. He'd had quite a lot of injury. But again, I've worked with him before the accident. So, although I can help people, if you're going to have the odd, physics takes over. So he had the accident. We got him prehabilitated. So we tried to help him as much as we could before his surgery. Because obviously, a fitter person will always recover better than an unfit person. So I said,
that was going to be one of my questions. That is so important. Like, we're talking about the maintenance side of it. Now, it's a case of like a gym, you know what I mean? And my argument is going to the gym doesn't make you any quicker on a bike. No. But this is like the crucial side of it. Now, as far as injury recovery time, how important is it to be going to the gym, say, 3 times a week, 2 times a week? What is for all our races out there and people in general, what is the best way to recover from an injury quick as you can?
Rest. Go to sleep.
Oh, fantastic.
The quickest way, rest and go to sleep. Well, because so you were talking earlier on about stem cells produced from the tibia and fibula. So basically what the stem cells are is these are the originator cells that every other cell comes from. So if you can produce more of cells that will eventually become cartilage, cells that will eventually become bones, but cells that will eventually become muscle, then you're going to have more of those things. You're going to recover quicker. Okay? But fundamentally, if you are not resting, then it doesn't matter what you do at the gym. I mean, with respect, Dom, I could take you to the gym. I could take you for a 25-minute HIIT workout, do that every day, bang, 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 have you absolutely blowing out your backside, not rest you, and you would get no gains whatsoever. Or I could take you to the gym 3 times a week, the rest of the time give you a good sleep, 7, 6, 8 hours sleep, nice and chilled out, boff. You recover better. Always recover better. Sleep is absolute key.
I've just realised I need to put a parking ticket on that van. Chrissy, take on the show Sunday.
How many times have you been here, Dominic?
I know, jeez.
Wow. Right, let's talk about him whilst he's not here. Do you need a quid?
No, I need to find your car keys now. Your jacket. Hey, this is going
Wow.
swimming.
Do you know what?
This is going swimmingly well. Oh, natural. It's just a podcast.
So speaking
Yeah,
of
go
stem
for it.
cells, I know there's
Yeah.
amazing things happening around the world with stem
Yeah.
cells these days, and for like you just said, the sort of like unprogrammed cells. Do you think in the future we'll be able to take stem cells at birth or from the umbilical cord, freeze them, and then therefore later in life, say if you lost a limb or you went blind or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good question. I mean, my understanding is that will technologically be possible. I think the problem is that, again, it seems slightly scientifically unfeasible to me, because you're not then looking, although you might be able to grow a leg back, how long have you been without that leg? What adaptations have you now learnt to not have that leg? What are they going to have to not only, if you think about it, if you've ever like broken an ankle or something, you have to learn how to walk again, and then once your pot comes off, you've got to learn how to walk again. Mm-hmm. And that's all this data going through your brain. And I think, for me personally, I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's a great idea, and I think we might be able to grow a new eyeball, like you say. But is that necessarily going to mean that person now knows how to use that eyeball? Yeah. I mean, if we look at Dom with his finger, he hasn't got a finger, but it's not stopping him from doing his job. So is there a necessary to then regrow something? He then has to start relearning how to use again. I would say probably not.
Yeah. Did you? I was on YouTube the other day, just watching various videos, and I came across a video it was on Good Morning Britain, and there was a lad there that was severely disabled,
right?
And he was looking to get the world's first head transplant. So what we're going to do is put him to sleep.
Yep.
Chop his.
What have I missed here?
Listen, they were going to chop his whole head off, and then put him a stitch, like they had a donor body, a full body, and then stitch the put the spine, all the major, And I don't know if that was a successful operation, but they had him on, and they had the guy that was looking to do the operation.
Yes, I remember seeing it a while ago.
And then they keep them in a coma for like 3 weeks to let everything heal, and then wake him up. And basically they were saying that he went from being severely disabled, not really being able to use his whole body.
Yes.
And they were saying it was realistic that he would be able to be able to look after himself.
Yeah. Well, in principle, given the right environment, if you have a nerve injury, we know that nerve injuries will regrow. I mean, again, if we talk about, say, Robbie, when Robbie came to see me, he'd had a fracture through the middle part of his shin. And completely just blown away, where it had just become twisted and compounded. When I first started with him, he literally couldn't bear any touch on there. But as the nerve regrew, he could and rehealed. He could tolerate that pressure more. He could walk more. Then that gave him more stability, etc., etc. But again, I mean, you're going to need like high doses of steroids for a long time. I mean, it's not, you talk about organ rejection if you just get a heart replacement, but I mean, that's whole body rejection. You're going to need quite a lot of folding green stuff to keep that working. But in principle, you can do it, because in principle, nerves will regrow. Again, what kind of life is it going to be? I don't know. Would you want it?
Well, listening to the guy getting interviewed on the show, he was basically saying that he didn't have any quality of life at the moment, and therefore he had nothing to lose. Yeah. There was a good chance that he was, he's going to be able to go from being having to be looked after 24/7 to being able to look after himself.
Oh yeah, it's not a judgment call. I think it's actually difficult to answer that, because I don't know what it would be like.
It is amazing though, just the science and the technological advances. Is just
absolutely.
And we've come a long way from Burke and Hare. in Edinburgh there, haven't we? You know what I mean? Nicking body parts and all sorts.
Although, they did do an awful lot.
Yeah,
They
we
did
are
an
in Doncaster. Is that still ongoing in the
What?
trade down here?
What, the old grave robbing?
Well, naturally.
Well, I can't tell
That's
you.
a nice watch.
From 1847.
Here's a question for you.
Go for
Something
it, sir.
that I've always, thought about,
Yep.
and I'll be really interested to hear your opinion on it.
Okay.
So obviously the sport that Dom and myself do,
Yep.
it produces a hell of a lot of adrenaline, and every weekend our adrenaline is pumping
Rush.
like crazy. Yeah.
Yes.
And
Awesome.
from brilliant from March all the way through the season, and by the time I personally get to October,
Right.
I feel
Yep.
like I'm
Bombed.
ready. I'm ready for a rest.
Yep.
And I feel like having a few months between October and say February or
Yep.
March, where my adrenaline isn't going through the roof and it relaxes back off. It then I feel reprogrammed and ready
Yep.
to go the following year.
Yep.
And I've always thought it would be great to say if you had all the money in the world and you could just ride all the time and do everything through the winter. But for me, I've always thought it a bit of an advantage to have some time off.
Yeah, I think sorry, I'm rudely interrupting you. I think to answer a question, I've actually come up with a little thing to try and explain it to people. I say, well, even the breath has both in and out. You don't constantly breathe in, you don't constantly breathe out. And I think, again, coming back to what we were talking about with diet, variety. We could get slightly technical. Are you, and I'm talking, you don't mind if I talk about you, do you?
No, go
Okay. So you're riding in BSB. What do you ride, 600 or
thousands?
Okay. So I would imagine you'd be tucked in quite tight behind the bubble. Well, we know, for example, you have something, we know how I was talking about earlier on in the beginning about information from the body going in and from inside to outside. So adrenaline produced by the adrenal glands located above the kidneys, the nerve supply of which comes from the spine. I could quite easily argue to you that is the reason that you are so adrenally fatigued, not just the fact that you are doing so much, but you've had so many days tucked in behind the bubble that your spine is now needing to be realigned. And are you needing that neurological? So your injury is that you have adrenal fatigue. The treatment is we need to treat your mid-thoracics, neck and shoulders, get you moving again, doing movements that you're not used to do. That'll give you a recovery, and then we maintain it by seeing you every so often. Go on, Dom.
Which event was it when? Was it Danny Webb that flew you out for a 24-hour race?
Yeah.
Which
that
event was that?
Le Mans.
Le Mans,
24 hours.
Obviously, he'd be biased because everyone's scared of you. But how... It's quite hard because you weren't there the following year watching him, if you know what I mean.
No.
But I can imagine if you're explaining that situation, if you're wrapped up for 3 days, imagine if he was there for you.
I mean, don't get talking about that Le Mans 24 hours. That was mad. Have you ever been?
I would love to do it.
Oh, have you ever seen Mad Max?
No, I would look. Oh, it looks fun. Honda TT Legends did like a documentary on it, and it looks like Newcastle.
The French are mad for it. Now, as you know, Dominic, I'm going to give you a little tip here, Chrissy. Please don't ask me anything ever about motorbikes themselves. Okay, faster. Slower, stoppy, and after that's pretty much me done. I'm like, okay.
That's exactly me. So he's used to this, man. Don't worry.
I've told a number of people I have got me head down when I'm riding a bike at the same time as me elbow, me shoulder, me foot, me ankle, and me arse.
You've got a bike license, so you're you know what I mean. So you are a proper hardcore bike fan.
I am, but I just have to keep treating all you delicate little flowers. That's the problem. Well, I mean, again, speak to Danny. It was a mad experience. I mean, they've got, I think it's 125s, and they're all like all night, like for 24 hours. It literally looked like a camp out of Mad Max that I've never seen such devastation. But they are mad for it. If you get the chance to go Le Mans 24 hours, fantastic. Yes, but obviously, Danny asked me to go there and work with him. And it was great because obviously Danny can only say this, but I believe that they felt value with me being there. Yeah. And again, I would hope that people like Dom and other people, you're not going to be nice to me because you just think I'm a nice guy. If I'm not giving you good service and you're not getting a benefit, then why are we having this conversation? You know, that's the key thing, is I want to try and give you as riders the very best in care. I love what you do. I have to say, I am the most fortunate fan ever, because I get to hang out with people I respect and I admire. I get to look what they do and go, wow, that's amazing. I mean, I still having, you know, everyone going off the start line at Oliver's Mount and all those bikes, I mean, love it. I love the noise, I love the smell, I love the whole thing. I love the people. I just like the people. I find them to be some of the best people in the world. But yeah, so going back to working with Danny, I'm assuming he enjoyed what I did. He still comes to see me, so I'm assuming he's happy what I've been doing. But thanks, Danny.
Well, the thing, it's. Let me just paint for everyone listening to this a little picture, right? Now, Aidan's friend, my friend, and friend of others, James Cowan, right? He came off on the 11th. Now, there's a famous footage of him getting wrapped up in the hay bale. Probably around about 140 mile an hour. And Hoist Sager.
That's Hoist Sager, yeah.
Hoist Sager just misses him, the onboard. It's absolutely incredible footage. Now, James, you can imagine, that speed, I don't care. He's hit his arse off a curb. He's gone into a hay bale. Now, when's the last time you jumped on a hay bale? They're solid. There's no giving them. I think all they're putting them hay bales there for, Chrissy, is to protect their wall, not us.
I'd agree.
So, James has unfortunately come off. He's hit this. He's rolled up. And I remember riding through the accident, and he was just head down. He wasn't unconscious or anything, head down.
No, I mean, he got up straight away.
You can imagine, like, if you just got a tic-tac, right, and rattled it so hard, that's what you would have gone through. And James's main priority, his biggest passion, was Super Twin racing. And race was 2 days up. No. So that was the Superstock race on the Wednesday, and the Super Twin race was on the Friday.
That's his levers.
That's his levers. Absolutely went for a total roll. And the mad thing is, so James rang Aidan and said, "Is there any?" And even before, I can imagine it now. I wasn't there for the conversation. Even before James could ask him, Aidan was on a flight, flew out, and I saw James literally getting carried into his own. And he didn't leave it for an entire afternoon. James walked out, put his levers on, and finished 4th. Now, bear in mind, like, you've got Michael Dunlop on the patent, you've got 4th, bloody 4th, and he went for a roll, and if it wasn't, he just rang him, he turned up, and I can't recommend this man enough, because he goes above and beyond the call of duty.
But that's what I think guys should have. You know, I mean, riding a motorbike is inherently dangerous. You know, you're on 2 wheels. Apparently, yeah, especially the way you ride.
if you can't look fast, look dangerous.
So I just want to give that opportunity, Chrissy. I just want people to be able to have that opportunity to be I know, honestly, it sounds twee, but to be the best they can be. You know, I want Dom when he's at the top of Bray Hill, or you when you're at the start line at Donington, or wherever it may be, that when you put your leg over that bike, you go, right. Now, if the bike fails, if the brake seize, if something else happens, you're like, oh, bloody hell.
Aidan's like, that's not my department.
It's not my department. But I don't want you to be tipping into your first corner going, God damn, my shoulder's hurting. God, my hip's hurting, because then you're not focused. And this is not a game. This is not like, you know, if you're riding a car and I bang into you, well, you got a roll cage on, I've got a roll cage on, we're going to get a bit upset, but it's not going to change your life. If I'm not focused, or if you're not focused and I'm going into that corner and you go in too hot because you're thinking, Jesus, my right hand really doesn't want to pull that brake, or I can't pull it as hard as I want, or whatever it may be, boof, we got an accident. And if I could have prevented that in some way, then I want to prevent it. And that's what I want to try and get out there. As I said, God bless him, James just got it straight, like, from the get-go. From the get-go.
But the mad thing is, so I'm trying to think, when he introduced you, now, James started off at the club seat, like, you know, like every other rider, and he was always quick. But he could, I'm not just saying this, I'm not just saying this. Like, he went from family team, everything like that. He got a little bit of help. And then when he got introduced to Aidan, he outrode that bike immediately. And then he got on with the McAdoos. He was winning. All of his mounts winning. And the thing is, and Aidan's touched on this, we've touched on this on the show so many times, it's about having your mindset. This man gives you the confidence. And if he turned around and said, Dominic, right, I want you to cut your left foot off, I'd be like, right, no bother. Why am I doing that?
Below or above the knee?
Because you're stupid enough to do it. I'll be why. But he inspires confidence through his experience.
Yeah,
he's worked. We're I feel like I'm trying to sell him to you. Yeah, you're an idiot if you don't work with this man, Chrissy. There you are.
But that's what I think is lacking. You know, you guys are out there, and I know you're looking for sponsorship, and you're looking for this, you're looking for that. But fundamentally, you are there, and you are providing a spectacle, and you are there to I won't say to entertain.
We are,
but
you
are.
We talk about that, but we are.
And if I can give you something, like I said, that when you swing your leg over the bike, you go, boff. Now, again, I just remembered going back to James. So like everything else, there's an element of when I'm doing stuff, you get more confidence the more you've got to do it. So if you ride a bike, the better, the more you ride it, the better you get at it. James actually came to see me after he'd had his spleen out. And we got him riding 6 weeks after he'd had his spleen out. And it will probably be on the video. I will demonstrate to you the effect that a scar has on your riding, which I did with James, and then he got it, and then that was fantastic. And then, of course, you can then go back and say to people, oh, I've worked with James Cowton. Oh, James. And, like, again, I keep mentioning him because
he was your friend.
He wasn't just that. He was more than that, to be fair, my friend. Yeah. He was an advocate for what I did. He understood what I did, and he was just the perfect example. We're here. We're happy because of James. And I will be dead honest with that. But he was that person that gave me the ability to say, look, I know this will work. He didn't know it would work, but he trusted me to do it. So I can then do it with rider number one. Mm-hmm. And then rider number one says, go and see this chap. Mm-hmm. And then because he's saying it, because of course I could say to you, you need to come see me.
It's a sales pitch at that point, isn't it?
But if someone that you know says you need to go and see him, and then 5 or 6 people in the paddock say you need to go and see him, and then 15 people.
It's all reputation.
It's reputation, And again, I try and do my best. Doesn't mean I can help everybody, but I will try and help everybody. And if I can't, I will refer them to people that can.
Just for people that are listening, Dom's actually just after this interview, Dom's going to be going through for his human MOT checkup, and
this is what you two were while I was putting the ticket on.
And we're going to we'll be putting the video on YouTube.
Stick? No, don't say stick. Don't say stick.
There'll be no sticking anything.
So a lot of people who listen to the podcast, they can check out our YouTube channel, and we'll be putting that on.
Fantastic.
And also for people that are listening, obviously there'll be lots of bike racers that listen to our podcast who might be interested.
I believe you're in many countries in the world.
We are, yeah, worldwide. So if
some bloke sitting in Madagascar going, I will go with you.
People might be interested to come and see you. What's the best way they can get in touch with you?
Facebook page, ITRM Clinic. We have Instagram at ITRM Clinic. That's probably the best way. Actually, the person that's come the furthest so far is from Spain.
Excellent.
I had a referral from Spain.
Oh, we're on Twitter as well, or?
No.
Okay.
No. Simply because, the reason is it's just takes too much. Yeah. Someone posts a question, they expect an immediate response. Yeah, sure. I do what I do face to face. Yeah. And again, if you said, can you see me? Well, yeah, absolutely, but you got to come to the clinic.
Mm-hmm, sure.
Do you know what I mean? So it's Facebook and Instagram.
And just before we wrap up this interview, I've spent the last 40 minutes looking down at your tattoo on your arm. What's your tattoo say?
So he's a maths teacher, he can't read.
So again, the person that I aspire to be is my late grandmother, who died at 104.
Holy! Wow.
And up until the last 3 years of her life, was fully compos mentis, lived on her own, passed away in her own bed. And it's from her I get a lot of my attitude of everything in moderation.
She put up with you for that long. Wow.
I was her favourite. And so this was her favourite poem, which is, learn to make the most of life, lose no happy day. Time will never bring thee back, chances swept away. Leave no tender word unsaid, live while life shall last. The mill will never grind again with waters that have passed.
Oh, wow.
I think that's a perfect time to wrap up the interview.
Thank you very much.
The fantastic words. And we both really appreciate your time.
Thank you for
having
coming
us,
to see me.
and
Appreciate that.
lovely cup of coffee.
Not done by me.
I'm looking forward to seeing Dom in a bit of agony in the next 20 minutes.
Sort that for you,
I've only got one more question to tidy things up. Who's your favourite? I know it's not me. I just want to know who your favourite is, so I can punch him.
Well, obviously, my favourite.
Favourite rider. Favourite customer.
So who's my favourite? My favourite's my wife, obviously.
Oh, you kiss off. Yeah. You kiss. Gentlemen, if you're listening, that's how you butter them up. There you go. You bloody creep. Anyway.
It's you, obviously, Dominic.
Sweetheart, yeah.
Nobody
Sweetheart. Anyway,
but you.
there you go. Wait, watch this. The camcorder stop. The podcast will stop me again. Not a
Chrissy.
chance. Not a chance. Chrissy, there we go. But honestly, mate, like Chrissy says, thank you so much for coming on.
Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Hopefully you'll have me again. Thank you.
Cheers now.
Thanks, Chris.
Young'un. Well, it was a while ago actually. Did that interview on it, but it was on that trip when we did McGuinness, Whittam, Piggy.
But that was it. It was a good opportunity to get touched up a little as well. You know, it's Casey sorted out my back and just gave us a good MOT, shall we say. And he obviously had a look at you as well, didn't he?
I'm actually going to put that video on YouTube, so if you want to see how what happens in the clinic, head over to our YouTube channel and we'll stick. That was before the diet, wasn't it?
No, I think
during
the diet. So I was fat Dom.
So I'll stick that on the YouTube channel. But yeah, one of the things about Aidan when we met him was he was talking about the weighted blankets, and I actually bought one. So for the last month or so I've been using it. So it's like a weighted duvet. So I think it's about a 7 or 8 kilogram duvet, which might sound a bit weird to some people, but there's the science behind. It was developed from autistic people, and it's basically the even pressure on your body is supposed to be like soothing and better sleep and less.
What's the review then?
Anxiety and all kinds. I never had any issues. So before, I've always been a good sleeper and like whatever, but I do really like it. So just on a preference, you feel really snug because it's just
the physical weight on it.
Yeah, it is nice. So quite expensive, but I think it's worth it because it's a good night's sleep. But anyway, we've got a few things to bash through. The first of them is I put a post on the patrons page to ask for some questions.
Yeah,
I'll just stick my spectacles on. Give us 2 minutes. Tell us about your hat. What's the crack with the hat that you're wearing for the YouTube?
Oh, well, actually, this isn't a personal spot. This is my Topaz hat. Now, it's actually a bit of a relic, this now. Because obviously they go and do talk shows every year at the Topaz Airport Garage for the Ulster Grand Prix. Now that it's not running, this is actually it's a bit of history, this, Chrissy. It's a bit of history. But no, they used to sponsor a couple of the Superbike races. And this is the first time, this hat actually reminds me of the first time I met Bruce Anstey.
Oh, really?
I turned up the Ulster Grand Prix. I actually did newcomers there twice.
Right.
I went on I can't remember. I went on my own Fireblade that I rode at the TD. 164 brake horsepower. I didn't even do a lap. It threw a crank. Coming up like newcomers, just going around and it just absolutely annihilated my engine.
Nice.
Funny enough, I bought the engine off Lee Johnson in East Coast Racing. That lasted very long, didn't it?
Is it one of these when you buy them and they say it's just been refreshed?
Oh, brand new, that man, brand new. But no way. Anyway,
So,
any engine can go at any time.
First one's Sniffing Skid Marks just said Chasin the Racing Track Day ? Maybe something for the future. We'll have to see about. It would be good crack, but
We've barely got time to bloody do this, man. Never.
Paul Watson. Hi fellas, I thought of something for you. You could do a YouTube channel perhaps. Chrissy could ride a lap of the TT course on the TT game and Dom could commentate or tell Chrissy the line when to brake, etc. Or you could both do a lap on the sidecars together. I'd enjoy watching either. I realise you'd probably just need to ask the game publisher's permission, but it'd be funny. I'm rubbish on the PlayStation, but if we could maybe get that sorted.
I'm rubbish around it in real life, so there we are. Might as well.
And I love the idea of a sidecar. I think that would be absolutely mint, but neither of us, you've never driven a sidecar, have you?
No, I've passenger. No, I definitely wouldn't want to drive one.
I'll be the driver, you can be passenger.
There we are, definitely. Get that done.
more MotoGP teams are now adding the start hole shot device.
Who's
this
asking
season.
hold on. Let's get some names.
Jordan Moore in this
and
one.
Who asked the question beforehand?
Paul Watterson.
And the question beforehand that.
Sniffing skid marks. I did say it.
You did. Oh, but no. Well, thank you.
So Jordan
thank you very
Morland,
much, lads.
More MotoGP teams are now adding start hole shot devices this season.
Brilliant.
What is your take on them? Also, would it be great to see a start device used at the TT?
I would love it. I would personally love to do it. I think gadgets. I think as a bloke, you know what I mean. Don't get me wrong. Women like gadgets as well. But like gadgets in general, I think they're brilliant. I think a whole shot device. I would
love to try that whole shot device on the Ducati. You press and it lowers the.
But that's actual mechanical device rather than an actual button. You know, when you hit buttons like airbag assist and all this crap. You know what I mean? Physically, you have to lock it down. It's like the motocross lads. Like they've actually got like a buckle.
Like a clamp on the fork, isn't it?
That's the word. And then literally, we see them on the line trying to compress the fork and reach over and stamp it over. I think more gadgets, the better. And the thing is, it's not a life-threatening device. You know what I mean? It's like if it goes wrong, it's not going to. You know what I mean? It's not going to cause any harm, is it?
I think with that squat, it just basically makes it harder to wheelie, doesn't it?
It does, so it takes away that actual loading up the spring. You know what I mean? So when you hit the hammer, it's actually loading up the spring that actually makes a bike cause a wheelie. But all it's doing is eliminating half of the motion at the start. So if it's sat down already, you're just going to get that drive. Those couple of tenths of seconds means everything. But no, I think definitely if someone wants
to see it at the TT.
I would love to see it.
The thing with the TT is because it's such a massive lap, there's almost like an attitude of, well, it would like hardly make a difference. But when you look at the timesheets, it could be, races are won and lost by tenths of seconds.
I've always been a bit of I've always been a crap starter, and that's something I've definitely worked on and I need to work on this year. But the TT, like you say, when you're battling at the front, you think, save the clutch. That's when I go off the line, I'm going, don't burn the clutch.
Same at the Northwest as well, isn't it? When I remember Glenn Irwin, the first year he rode at the Northwest, he annihilated everyone off the start. But then people were saying like accomplished road racers at the Northwest don't really push that hard off the start because you can burn the clutch.
Well, no. With the Northwest, it's not that. It's because you want the slipstream.
Oh, so would you purposely not get a particularly good start?
No, you see, it's one of those. It's if you're mid-pack. The thing is, if you're on the front row, it doesn't really matter. If you know what I mean. If you're in the front two rows, it doesn't matter because if you're with that group, you've got the slipstream. You think if you're leading the first corner, even you see it all the time with the Tycos, the Ducatis, and everything. If you're behind them, you're going to hammer them. That's the thing. The thing about the Northwest that makes it so entertaining is if you're in fifth place, you can still win the race.
Yeah,
you've got to be in the tow. But if you're mid-pack, you've got to get off the line. You've got to go. And I think definitely if Jordan, if you want to build me a start device, son, I'll definitely try it. I'm telling you.
Andy Wellborn, I know you have covered it before, but the technical rules: Superbike versus Superstock, BSB versus World Superbikes. And is it the same for the roads? What helps road riders decide? Obviously, you run the same bike in Superstock and Superbikes.
Yeah.
Do you run the same tyres or is...
No, we can put slicks on
for Superbikes,
but a lot of people don't. But me personally, I think it's more of a psychological gain, because you're used to stock tyres, aren't you, in Pirelli? You know what I mean? But when you went to slicks, did you feel a difference?
Well,
the bike was totally different as well.
That's the thing. So for me, I've obviously had quite a lot of experience on the Superstock bikes, which you basically
but that tyre goes all the way down through. So 600s and
the
everything.
Road tyres with pretty much as the bike comes, you can take the plastics off the lights indicators, put fairings on, you can put better suspension, things like that. But it predominantly is what you ride on the roads. Superbikes, obviously going from the smaller teams to the bigger teams, you can change. The more budget you have, you can change more and more. Swinging arms is a big thing. Getting specially made swinging arms.
We can change wheel braces, actual wheel changes. Actually, the mad thing is, I think Silicon Engineering were actually advertising one for sale, and they've got holes in the swinging arms to actually put brace pins in to take flex. Because you think the more rigid the bike, the easier it turns. It's not. You need actual chassis. And the thing, to be fast, it's not just getting on a bike and hitting a hammer. Yeah. It's a science. It generally is a science. You're talking physics, damn it. Physics.
And obviously, you run slick tyres. You can upgrade things like the master cylinders, the
bigger brakes, everything.
You get Superbike forks, bigger brakes, so it stops better. obviously you mentioned the chassis, the engine. You can tune the engine up so you can get
actual
an
brake
extra
horsepower.
10, 15, 20 horsepower, something like that. Which, you know, it doesn't actually make that much of a difference in top speed, but it's
when you hit the hammer, it's the thing is people get mixed up with brake horsepower, and like where a bike becomes fast is when people go to dynos, they look at the top end and go, bloody hell, look at that, look at the top end brake horsepower. That means nothing. When you build an engine, it's all about torque. And that's the actual physical drive of an engine. And people almost forget about like that super twin. You know, we're talking about the RC Express super twin. It makes more torque than a super bike. Twin engine, just great big power from the bottom end. And that's why the Ducatis are so dominant. Because when they're hitting the hammer out of a corner, it physically drives from the bottom, and you're going. And people get hung up too much at the top, and like you say, like the super bike, it's about managing that power, and it takes more refinement because you're trying to cage a beast, aren't you? And the bigger the beast, the bigger the cage, and more management.
Just to give a basic overview, super stock bike. So if you were building a super stock bike for BSB rules, you're looking at between 20 to I think 37,000's about the highest. So you're in that range to build a super stock. Super bikes, there's a much bigger variables, because obviously you could stick a £30,000 swinging arm on. So that do you know what I mean? It much bigger variance. But I think the cheapest super bike you could probably build would be like 40, 50
grand,
and then go upwards, and you could obviously spend much more.
You get what you pay for, don't you?
In terms of lap times, I mean, around the TT, it's virtually nothing.
It's virtually you need the right team to make a super bike work.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is money. Development, time, tests, and
expertise.
Everything. The bike has got so much capability.
Yeah,
it's about refining that.
And I would say, and I think Hickman touched upon this in his interview on this podcast, when he was saying sometimes when you get to the front of super stock and you're almost mid-pack in super bike on your times, you think, oh, I'll get a super bike, slick tires, like you're going to be faster.
Nah.
It's you have the ability to go faster if you set it up right, but you're in a much smaller window. It's the harder to ride, the bite much harder and easier than a super stock. So yeah, I mean, around the TT, it doesn't make that big of a difference. Around the tracks that I race on, like my best times on a super bike compared to my best times on a super stock bike, there's between sort of anything between 1.5 seconds difference, something like that, around a decent size.
And when you
track.
talk about the money difference,
it's massive.
That
links nicely to another question from James Sheehan said, would be great to know your opinion on the superbike market now. 10 years ago, a premium market leading superbike would be about 9 to 10 grand, and now you're looking at 20k plus. How do we keep stock 1000 and BSB relatable, the buyer's market? Brilliant question, that, and I think it's such a good point. I remember all the top bikes were around the sort of 10 grand mark. Now, I'm not sure who started it, but one of the manufacturers made a sort of a special bike, which was an extra 10 grand, and that then meant it would dominate super stock. So therefore, all the manufacturers have made these, like, they're almost like super stock bikes.
Super bike, super stock.
Stock, yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like a road bike, but like a super version. So obviously Kawasaki have got the normal ZX10, which is I think about the 11, 12, maybe 13 grand, and then you can buy the RR, the souped up one, which is an extra 10,000 quid, I think.
That's a lot of money.
And for that 10,000, you're getting so much bike for 13 grand. For that extra 10 grand, for us racers, when you need the last few tenths,
it's worth the money.
It's you need to have it to compete. But in terms of for like club racing and certainly for the roads, you wouldn't see the benefit. So it's and
the actual expense of rebuilds, because like
exactly
pistons and conrods for that ZX10 is 6 grand.
Yeah, which
6 grand,
and you're talking
1,400 quid a conrod.
It's that thing of what's it called, the more expensive something gets, the smaller the margins. What's the word?
I have no idea.
The saying, I cannot remember it. Anyway.
What, P. Diddy, more money, more problems?
The law of diminishing returns, that was it.
Yeah, that's definitely not P. Diddy.
Steve Tomlinson said, what what are both your goals for the season aside from Dom's 130 TT lap and Chrissy's hunt for more wins in Stock 1000? Hopefully culminating in a title charge. Obviously,
You've just answered the
he
question.
basically answered our question, so exactly that.
Oh, a great opportunity to say thank you to everyone that has joined so far in the 130 club. Can't thank you all enough.
Excellent.
Cannot thank you all enough.
And
I think it's just answered the
if
question.
any of our listeners are wanting to join the 130 club, just remind us how you go about it.
BR8 Management. Have a look on my personal Facebook page. Obviously, I think we'll have to share it on the Chasin and the Racin, but have a look at Dom Herbertson. All the links are there. And but like,
and if you missed the announcement, £130, you get a Dom the Bomb. You get a 130 club like special box with. Go on, explain what's in it.
You get hoodies, hats, t-shirts, like a full-on hamper. You know what I mean? And it's to achieve a dream. I tell you what, right? This is something I need to say about the 130 thing. You know how I've been saying I've worked it out. My dad's reworked it out. It's not. You know, I've been saying it's like 2 to 3 seconds. Mm-hmm. It's not. Not at all. That's the thing. You get a lot of people lying about the TD. It's fact figures, black and white. You can't.
Is this how far you're off 130?
How far I'm off? My dad says it's just under 7 seconds. It's jumped up a fair bit now. So it's not like I had to find just a couple of seconds. You think, well, that's just a gear change. It's definitely stepping up a peg. So I do apologise to everyone.
You need like 0.4 of a mile an hour on average, don't you?
0.4. And you just think but that's 6 seconds.
You're a little bit lighter than you were this time last year.
That's it. But still,
have a good dump before the start, and you'll be sound.
But no, need a long way to go. But obviously, that support and it'll definitely get us up there because obviously we can get better machinery, better time, everything. And to make a step in this game, you do need financial support. So I cannot thank you enough for joining the club.
Smashing. Penultimate question from Brian Alexander. Can I suggest an interview with Rory Skinner, only 18 and has been road racing for 10 years, looking good for Super Sport 600 this year. We mentioned him before, fantastic talent, won the British Talent Cup. He ran himself in British Super Sport this year on it wasn't a competitive package, and he's done his apprenticeship on the 600 and he's ready to take wins next year, and totally. He's my tip for the championship this year.
Between him and put a tenner on it.
I would say between him and Brad Jones, the Appleyard team have won 2 years in a row, and they're both going to be battling it out
without a doubt.
And last question. Don't know if you've recorded yet, but I've just seen that Joey Thompson is back at the TT this year. Seems he's got his own team in JSXR 1000. Any thoughts? First time on a litre bike after effectively a year out. I genuinely hope he's successful, but wow, I bet that will be an eye opener. After a year out as a relative newcomer, are there any restrictions or specific help from the organisers?
Pass. It's a case of I have no idea. As far as support from the organisers, I have no idea. To be fair, that it's like everything. You've got to build things yourself, and you've got to go around the teams. But as far as direct support, you don't really get it. It's like BSB. You don't have the BSB directly paying teams to turn up, do you?
No,
exactly. So it's exact same on that side of things. So yeah, it's all good.
You said a reminder about
yes. Thank you very much. Yeah, the Armoy Club have lost. A man called Gary McFall, and now that's terrible because I didn't actually know his surname, but Gary. No, honestly, I know it's terrible that, isn't it? But you see, you do, man. I keep forgetting your names, Rouse. You do, don't you? But obviously, I've met Gary years ago. You're all right there. You just pull yourself together.
Laugh, sorry.
You gotta love an awkward laugh now and then. But no, Gary, he was like the paddock manager for Armoy. Right, and like we're talking about the bottle there, he used to give us moonshine every year I turned up. Honestly, the bottle was still covered in dirt, and he gone, right there, son, take that. It's actually, you get arrested if you found with that. I'm like, oh cheers, mate. But he looked after everyone, and he knew everyone in the paddock. And obviously I only found out over the power of social media that he's passed away. So I don't know on what circumstances. But obviously, Armoy are close friends to everyone in the paddock. It's a once a year event, and everyone puts a heart and soul the whole rest of the year to get them things going. So, and Gary was a big part of that, a very big part of that, and it's really sad to hear his lossing. And I'm sorry I didn't know your surname beforehand, Gary. I really can only apologise on that. But obviously, like I say, the Armoy Club have lost a big part, and condolences to the family. Yeah, definitely.
And also, you mention. Oh, that was the Armoy crack, wasn't it?
That was the Armoy
I've got Gary
crack. Sorry,
McFall, and then I've got Armoy crack. That's two different.
That's all put together, and obviously, Gary was a piss-taking twat like the rest of us. So you'd be laughing that you're laughing. So, but no, there we go. So yeah.
And last of all, I'm away testing next week.
Yeah, you lucky git.
So off to Cartagena, fly out Wednesday night, and then I'm Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So out on the new bike. I cannot wait.
I bet you can't. You lucky swat. Even my pikey little mates are away racing. Chicken Charlton, Bars.
Seen these in Cartagena as well, haven't you?
You know what I mean? That's the thing, though. People think just because it's club racing, people take it just as serious. If your money stretches out, you'll go for it. And like my mates are out there having a laugh and bombing around on motorcycles, and they call me factory. I'm still here cutting trees. We go off to bloody Spain.
I know,
but I bet you can't wait, mate. I bet you can't wait.
I absolutely cannot wait. Obviously, last time I rode, like my ZX10 was back in October. Feels like ages ago. So yeah, I literally cannot wait to get out. Obviously, it's a new bike, new team. So yeah,
must be nice knowing that you're back on a Kawasaki though. Like you're on the same manufacturer, so it's not going to be a big eye opener. But still, it's a brand new build, brand new bike. So it's going to be.
So me and Piglet fly out on Wednesday night, and got a few nights away. So yeah, mega looking forward to that. Are you up to anything in this sort of week?
Nah, just
graft.
Just graft.
Are you all over the country? Where you at?
Yeah, so I am off to, where am I going? Doncaster, then Humber Bridge, then North Yorkshire, Malton, and then back down to Doncaster. And then from there over the Lake District, and then back over to just these bloody storms, man, they're doing me head in. Mm-hmm. I'm sick of cutting trees. Someone out there, just give us £1 million for the pair of us, and we'll just mop your floors and do whatever.
Speaking of the Lake District region, we've both picked up a personal sponsorship from Matt Postlethwaite.
Yeah.
Postlethwaite. And obviously he sponsored the podcast, and he's very kindly sponsoring both of us personally for next year.
And he's doing the prop enduro as well. God, that's going to be a laugh for him.
We could do with popping over and seeing him at some point.
Definitely.
So maybe when you're over there, you could. I think it's Carlisle.
Don't tell him. Just take the stakes. You know what I mean? Just kind of. I've got you these, son. There you are. No, but you're looking forward to catching up with Matt. Really looking forward to it.
Mint. We'll wrap this up. So big thanks, obviously, to all of our patrons as usual. We really appreciate the support on there.
Definitely.
We've got big thanks to our sponsor, the Person Motor Company.
Yeah, thank you to them as well. Thanks to Matt as well, Matt Postlethwaite there. So thank you very much. And
like
thank
I say,
you, Aidan. Thank you, Aidan, as well. It's welcome to the thank you show. If you want any thank yous out there live, just give us a bell.
And like I say, if you're coming to BSB, if you're racing at BSB first round, or if you're just coming as a fan and you're going to be there on the Saturday,
and you want Chrissy's meat,
I thoroughly recommend that you log on, go obviously use my link /Chrissy Rouse and buy your online steak box. You won't be disappointed with the quality of the meat. It is unreal. And 80 quid.
I'm secretly 12 forever, aren't I? Every time you say meat, I laugh.
10 steaks and 2 hospitality tickets for Saturday for you or your sponsors or whoever you want to give to. So yeah, smashing. We've got some. By the time we do our next podcast, I think we'll have some merchandise coming. So we're getting a lot of messages about that.
We've promised this for bloody ages now.
It is coming. So
look at that.
Chasing the Racing meat.
Look at that. Get it on. There you are. Get it on the YouTube there. Look at that.
Well, so without further ado, obviously I don't think we'll get a podcast in next week because I'm in Spain.
Nope.
Yay! Soon as
a week off.
Soon as I'm back, we'll meet up and get something sorted.
Definitely, mate. Exciting stuff.
All the best, mate. I'll speak to you soon.
Enjoy Spain, young'un. See you in a bit.
Cheers, mate. Will do. See ya.